Salute, 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 y'all. Breaking news, man. Breaking news, y'all. Marjorie Taylor Greene has resigned, guys. I said, wow. Remember, she was under scrutiny by Trump for wanting those Epstein files released. She said that she was receiving threats and fear for her life, guys. And now she has resigned with her last day being January 5th, guys. Do y'all think that the threats and her backing of the release of the Epstein files could have anything to do with her resigning, guys? Make sure you vote on the poll. Most definitely double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. We're about to take a little look-see at what in the entire world is going on. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Moments ago, this is her message to Georgia's 14th district. She is saying thank you to her constituents again. She wrote that long
Hey, Miss
note
Pooh Bear, what's
on
up,
social media. She also released the video attached to this
Thank you,
post.
Miss Pooh Bear.
We just got the video in-house. Let's play it. This is the full thing.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates.
So what we're watching right now is Marjorie Taylor Greene, guys, has resigned basically from her spot in Congress, y'all. You know, after I reported to y'all, she lost her back in the Trump. She said she was receiving unalive threats, and now she is resigning, guys. Remember, she was the one that said once the Epstein files were released, she would go live basically and read off names of individuals that's in that file, in the files, you know. And because of this, she got threats, and now she has resigned, guys.
Life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass the plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from.
I don't know when her pension kicks in. Her last day is basically January 5th. One day before, basically the January 6th incident happened a couple years ago, but she's resigning. Her last day is January 5th.
Outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas, just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. CV? Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places.
And this is where it get interesting, guys. She finna to basically tell y'all why she is resigning.
Like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street. And we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful
This is
men
for
should
educational
not result
purposes
in
only,
me
guys.
being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States,
Whoop,
whom I fought for.
whoop.
And threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. Called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. Called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
Well, there you go.
However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much. And I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better.
Oh, wow.
If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never, ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like...
So basically she's stepping down, CB, behind the threats and behind being called a traitor. By Trump, somebody she supported, somebody she pushed for, somebody she basically put her all behind in order to get him elected, no matter what scrutiny she faced behind it. Basically, after she started supporting the release of the Epstein files, you know, she began to get threats, and Trump stopped backing her. So that's what it is, CB.
Me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country. And instead, the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington. Then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
That was the statement that MTG posted on social media just moments ago. This is breaking news.
Yeah, she just did that, guys. Hold on now. You know, everybody is wondering why. Let's see what they think about her basically resigning, guys. Make sure you double tapping that screen. You know, that's how you hit the like button if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, and most definitely subscribe to the channel. If you are new, guys, Marjorie Taylor Greene announces she is resigning on January 5th. Basically, that's her last day.
She's resigning next month. Her last day, she says, January 5th.
I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Back with us now, David Axelrod and Shermichael Singleton. Shermichael, to you first as the Republican in the conversation. President Trump recently said he wanted her primaried. She recently said he was wrong. She stood up to him on the Epstein files, and she won. What do we make of this?
I mean, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, Thomas Massey is also up for re-election, and he's been able to, in a very unique way, pivot despite the president's attacks. I was actually just talking to a friend who's very close to the congressman a couple days ago, and he was telling me that the congressman has actually seen his fundraising numbers increase by focusing on H-1B visas and focusing on prioritizing work for Americans. And so I would have argued, if I were advising her, hey, you might be able to get through this brief moment in time, but perhaps she thought otherwise. Maybe she's looking at future plans, but this is a big shocker, John.
Now, her people, David, have said she could survive, that she's been raising money and that she thinks she's safe in her
This
district.
is crazy, y'all.
To Shermichael's point, she did say, I'll see you
Marjorie
again.
makes a big chess move.
Yeah,
Shout out
I
to
think that was
liars
the key.
everywhere.
That was the key takeaway to me. I think she would have won in her district. I don't think this is her assessment of her chances in this election. I think she surveyed, first of all, what it meant to come back to a House where the president was unhappy with her. She has a bad relationship with the Speaker of the House, probably in the minority. And she decided that there might be greener pastures. Remember, John, she wanted to run statewide this year. She wanted to run for the Senate, I believe, and that was turned thumbs down by the White House and the powers that be in the party. I think that may be part of what her estrangement has been about, not questioning her sincerity on this Epstein issue. But I think she's got her eye on bigger things here. As she said, I hope to see you down the line. And I think that is a precursor, because what we know is she is formidable. She's one of the most formidable fundraisers in the Republican Party. She knows how to get attention. And she has made this transformation here that is interesting, still a MAGA person, but much broader in her reach. So, I think this is not the end of the story here. Not the end of the story.
The question is, what's the next chapter, Shermichael? Is it, does she reconsider about running statewide next year? There's a Senate race in Georgia, or we have this conversation all the time. We just saw it in the elections in Virginia and in New Jersey, where Republican candidates try to be like Trump, and forgive my language, but they get smoked.
Possible vice
because Trump is a
president
unique
run?
phenomenon. She actually is like Trump. She actually is in touch with a lot of his base. Do you think she has national ambitions? Is she thinking, J.D. Vance, I'll see you in Iowa?
I mean, I can't imagine that, John. I don't think she would be very successful, if I'm being blunt and candid, as a Republican strategist. I do, however, beg the question, can she actually even be successful in a statewide race in Georgia? Remember, Georgia elected Kemp twice. He certainly isn't someone that I would say is in the vein of a Donald Trump, and has actually had various infighting in the state.
That's precisely, forgive me for interrupting, that's precisely the reason I say, and I know you say, I can't see her going up against J.D. Vance, but, David Axelrod's in this conversation. Nobody could see Barack Obama beating Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is president of the United States for a second time. Nobody could see him winning the Republican nomination or the White House the first time, and a lot of people said he could never win the White House again after January 6th. That is why I say we live in the age of improbable success stories.
Yeah, but John, I don't think she's a Barack Obama or even a Donald Trump. And if she's thinking about a statewide race, and I would imagine
absolutely, Money Mo,
what is the
Trump people are most definitely going elsewhere.
Green statewide? She wouldn't get Donald Trump's support, and I doubt that she would get the support of the current Governor Kemp. So then what would be that path to a Marjorie Taylor Greene's success to the U.S. Senate? I just don't see it.
David, hang on with your thought. I just want to bring into the conversation.
Hang
Hang on, David, just 1 second. I want to bring in to our conversation with some new reporting, our senior White House correspondent, Kristen Holmes. Again, Kristen, this is very dramatic, coming at the end of a week where Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, once very close allies, have had a very public and very nasty breakup.
What's up,
Yeah, and one of the most
5280?
remarkable things about this
Marjorie
is I've
Taylor
talked to a
Greene
number
has
of people who are
resigned,
close to
my
Marjorie
boy.
Taylor Greene who
I don't know
described the
one
last
person that
several
voted for
days
Trump that
as
does not
painful for
still
her. I mean, you
support
got to
Trump.
remember, there are a number of
Her.
different kinds of Trump supporters in Washington. There are the supporters of convenience, and there are the true believers. And I do tend to think that overall, the true believers are fewer and farther between. And she was a true believer when it came to Donald Trump. And I think that part of her never thought it
Let's
would
continue
get
to double tap that
this
screen,
bad
guys. Get the likes
with the
up.
president. And even when she was speaking out against him, I don't think she thought that he would personally attack her. And of course, as we know with President Trump, almost always, loyalty is a one-way street. And she learned this the very hard way as a true believer who then essentially got excoriated by him online. And I will tell you, I was talking to people who were close to her who were telling me that she was getting threats nonstop. I know she posted about this. And then you had President Trump, even with that, saying that she was playing herself or portraying herself as a victim. It seems to me, and look, what her next role is, I think that's obviously a huge question, but I do
Is
have to
Trump's
agree
party falling
with
apart,
Michael,
guys?
that
Let
there's
me
not
know.
a clear path here. I think that her path as kind of the Donald Trump, woman version of Donald Trump, has obviously run its course. And so what she decides to do next, we'll obviously have to wait and see. But I do think it's pretty remarkable that he has now, most of the people that we've seen stand up to him and then decide that they're going to resign or retire are people who are already kind of in the middle, people who were surprised to see them supporting Donald Trump in full anyway. That is just not the case with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so this is one of the first cases of somebody who was full on supported the president, and then he turned on her, and now she's leaving office.
And so, Kristen Holmes, thank you so much. David Axelrod, I want to bring you back into the conversation to follow up on those excellent points Kristen just made. Number one, she's someone who sparred with Trump who is stepping aside. But number two, she's somebody who I know a lot of people out there watching this conversation disagree vehemently with her politics. However, she has a skill set. She is a communicator. She is a fundraiser. We don't know what she's going to do next. I would say she's dangerous to the president in this regard, in that she just said he's wrong on the Epstein files and she won. She said he has been tone deaf on these affordability issues, that when she goes back home to her district in Georgia, she's hearing people are still struggling. The challenge in a midterm campaign is to motivate your base. If she, for any reason, decides she wants to continue to speak in ways that are counter to Trump, if you will, dissonance with Trump, that could affect the Republican Party in the midterm year, could it not?
Yeah, it could. I think, John, more likely, if she's not doing anything this year, that she might be looking at 28. I know that right now J.D. Vance is way ahead in the Republican primaries and polling, but that's not really worth very much. And there is a likelihood that there'll be other people in that race. And so, maybe she is looking at that. And if she's looking at that, is our full frontal assaults on Trump for the next year that might damage the Republican Party helpful to her? Who knows? Maybe she's looking to a career in media, John. Anything is possible here.
Excuse me.
But I think she's proven herself. And look, I'm deeply critical of many things that she's said and done. But you have to acknowledge that she has made herself a formidable character in our public life. And it seems unlikely that she's going to just fade away.
All right. So that was a little bit of what they thought. Let's get into some more reasons why she could possibly be resigning. I just dropped something in the chat that says the conflict with President Trump, Greene's resignation came after weeks of public feuding with Trump, particularly over her support for a bill to release the Epstein files, guys. What do you think?
With Marco Rubio and other people, it just, and resigning with so much time left in the office, and she'll do this on January 5th. one wonders whether there's other factors.
Let's take a second, guys, to double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. It helps out the channel if you hit the like button. So double tap the screen on your mobile device, or click those three dots in the right hand corner, hit that thumbs up, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you are new.
Involved, or whether polling in her district is telling her that she's become very unpopular. Who knows what the reasons are, but I would say, just in general, if she's resigning after this little dust up with the president, which could be solved, she's got very thin skin. And she was somebody that, for the longest time has, given as much as she's had to take. It was a little bit of a bitter statement, in my view.
So she is not carrying out the rest of her term, as we've alluded to. And
right.
Instead, what she's doing is she's choosing to leave Congress early. Of course, we know members of Congress are elected every 2 years, so we would have been following, presumably, her election, or at least her race closely come the 2026 midterms. But now that won't be happening, Brian. She's going to be resigning by January. That means that they'll have to have a special election. Do I have that right?
Or yes, that would be the possible way it could go. I don't know whether the governor also has an option there either. But yes, probably a special election, because actually we're pretty far out from the 26th election.
So when a member of Congress opts not to finish their term out, what does that tell you?
There are other factors at play. It can be family matters. It can be just that they know the end is coming. But it's very unusual. This is a very
5280. This move, ain't CNN. This is Fox right here, man.
Again, what I think was a very bitter statement by the representative, and sort of one of these things where she opened the door, tossed a grenade in, and closed the door and is walking away. And it's inexplicable, as I said earlier, using that word. I'm sure we will learn more as time goes on, but I can't believe that her spat with the president, which is, as I always say with Donald Trump, is temporary, is the sole reason why she resigned. So I've got to believe there are other factors at play.
Just thinking off the top of your head, could there be another
threats against her and her family? Most likely, I believe that too. And remember, she started getting those threats after she started backing the releasing of the Epstein files, guys.
Happens all the time, right? But you don't do it from a position of, hey, I've decided to resign from my current position so that I can run for another position this early. You might see it, later, but this is a timing thing that's very curious. If she has her eye on another seat, and she did allude at the end of her statement to maybe I see you down the road. I'm paraphrasing there. Maybe she has something else in mind, but I don't see the efficacy in resigning now to run for another office and the way that she's resigning, which is basically, I think the Republicans aren't going to have a good midterm. I don't want to be party to being in the minority and having to fight for our president's agenda. That doesn't like me. Well, sounds a little bit schoolyardish to me.
So, Brian, we've been showing these tweets from Chad Pergram. Of course, he covers Capitol Hill so well for Fox News. He's got he's got the mathematical breakdown. It's kind of hard to read in the formatted wall of text.
All right, here, so Trump has spoken on this as well, to where he said, it says Donald Trump told ABC News that Green's resignation is great news for the country. Official words from Trump, guys.
The important part I'll highlight. Basically, now there's going to be 432 members in the House, 219 Republicans versus 213 Democrats. What does this shakeup mean for the already razor-thin margins in the lower chamber?
Just that. It's razor-thin. While we are watching Republicans and Democrats right now pretty monolithically vote, it suggests that just a few people moving over the line can really derail the president's agenda in the House of Representatives. And so with that, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's reference to how she thinks Republicans will do in the midterm, which historically the party out of office does well vis-a-vis a president from another party being in office, it could mean that Republicans don't do well in the midterms because of the razor thin margin here. And for that reason, maybe there's some truth in the fact that Green does not want to be in the minority in Congress and as she said, having to defend the president's policies. Having said that, the falling out of because of the Epstein situation, she got what she wanted in the end, which was the president signing off on releasing the files. So and one assumes that she was lobbying for that. So I just think this is a pretty thin set of reasons for her resigning tonight, but it does put Congress even further in play.
Oh yeah, they most definitely gonna talk about this.
Reaction from Thomas Massey, also a Republican in the lower chamber. He says, "I'm very sad for our country, but so happy for my friend Marjorie. I'll miss her tremendously. She embodies what a true representative should be. Everyone should read her statement. There's more honesty expressed in these 4 pages than most politicians will speak in a lifetime." Brian, there's an interesting dynamic going on here. We're starting to see some Republicans criticizing the direction of the very political movement that they once supported. What direction is this movement heading today?
Well, I think that's going to remain to be seen. You're seeing Republicans now deciding that in certain cases they don't want to go along with what the president is interested in doing, and you're seeing on the
let's go, Jason. Jason made a valid point down there. Jason says Trump called her a traitor for signing the discharge petition. Is Trump also a traitor for signing it? Because he signed it too. Let's go, Jason. What y'all think about that?
In the really left progressive Democrats and the more mainline Democrats, and now with Republicans, you're starting to see a split between the hard right Republicans and some of those that are not so much in concert with the president, Massey being one of them, of course. Heretofore, Taylor Greene was not one of those people. She was a full-on supporter of the president. But for whatever reason, she took a different tack here, and it's something that the Republican Party is now going to have to deal with in Congress.
Does it feel like the Epstein files, this is a reverberation of the larger impacts of the Epstein files, Brian?
It's hard to say, because I think Congress made it clear, both the Senate and the House made it clear that they wanted the files released. And President Trump, read the tea leaves pretty quickly and said, okay, well, I'll sign the law that releases everything. I think for those people who wanted full transparency, they've received it. And it's interesting when you think about why Democrats want the Epstein files totally released versus why the Republicans want it totally released. But a lot of it revolves around politics and who may be mentioned in the Epstein files and what damage can be done to leading Democrats, leading Republicans, including the President of the United States. So to me, this has a little bit of the mutually assured destruction component to it, because I think from what we're learning, the Epstein people and Epstein himself reached out to Democrats and Republicans alike and attempted to have them use their influence to help him in whatever goals he had.
Does it feel like, let's pretend that for a moment here, let's move this breaking news aside for a moment. Given some of the friction that MTG has had with President Trump as of late, would it have necessarily been surprising if she had faced an uphill battle if she had run for re-election in 2026?
Well, depending on how much the president wanted to support her opponent. But my feeling was, and I've said it in a few interviews, is that Donald Trump gets over problems with people pretty quickly. And I had every reason to believe that now that the Epstein files have been released and Marjorie Taylor Greene helped achieve that, that eventually in the next few weeks they'd get together, iron out their differences, and Donald Trump would become again a supporter. That's what leads me to believe there's more at play here than just the Epstein files, because as I say, Donald Trump has a history of making up with people, or at least treating people well who he's had a problem with. And of course, there are exceptions. Clearly, we saw it with the funeral of Dick Cheney. You know, Donald Trump did not attend. I think his rift with the Cheney family was not resolved and will not be resolved. But those are more of one-offs, to be honest with you. Mostly, he finds a way to find some common ground, even with people who he's had disagreements with.
So, while we're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's talk about, she still has a little bit over a month left in Congress. Let's be clear, she isn't out yet.
Right.
But let's talk about the significance of her run in the House. What did MTG mean for not only the Republicans and their legislative priorities, what did she mean for the GOP's branding in recent years?
Well, I think for some people in the GOP, she was so far right that
This is crazy, y'all.
It was at
Make
times
sure y'all
uncomfortable.
double tapping that screen, man. Get the
Her
likes up.
statements were really full of anger, which is really interesting in contrast to her statement tonight that she's hurt by the president and she has all these people sending her notes and they're angry and vindictive. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene that was in Congress for quite a while. She really said a lot of things about her enemies that weren't very kind. And some people might say, in fairness, she's getting what she gave. And that's just par for the course if that's the way that you handle things. I mean, she's the same person who had no problem when we're talking about decorum and other things during a State of the Union speech by the president, Joe Biden, to be yelling out liar.
Hold on.
It made, I think, a lot of people in the center.
Lord have mercy. Y'all forgive me. I'm getting sick. I'm sneezing over here. All right. I see somebody that says she's resigning. Why? Well, she has been back in the release. Hold on. Ooh-wee. She has been back in the release of the Epstein files. And basically it caused her to have a split with Trump. You know, he started calling her a traitor. You know, and basically she started to receive threats behind her backing of the releasing of the Epstein files. Now, we don't know exactly why it is that she's resigning, but a lot of people think that those threats and what Trump had to say basically is the reason. Because this was a couple of days ago I reported on her being that she went on the news basically and said that she was getting threats, this, that, and the third. And now today she is resigning. So a lot of people feel like it may be behind her support of releasing the Epstein files. And she also said that once those files were released, that she would read all the names of the people involved publicly. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we're at.
Her left, center, right, very uncomfortable, completely outspoken, and a difficult personality. And I don't know whether she just, again, going back to the top of our conversation, is that thin-skinned that she could not put up with the president criticizing her and or suggesting he would support an opponent against her. But again, so early in the process.
We do have this visual representation in light of this news, just kind of giving an idea of the razor-thin margins, again, in the lower chamber of Congress. I got to ask you, Brian, moving ahead here, of course, the 2026 midterms, you and I presumably will have quite a few conversations about the midterms between now and November. Redistricting has been a huge topic of conversation of how that will play a role in deciding the balance of power in the House. As it stands today, how much clarity do we have on which side of the aisle has the advantage getting into 2026? Is it too early?
I think so, Austin, to be honest with you. And we don't even have clarity, given some of the court action around the Texas redistricting, what may happen in California and other states. More to come on that. But, Texas started a process that put congressional districts across the country a little bit in play. And certainly in California, where Prop 50 in California passed, which gives an advantage in 5 congressional seats that were Republican seats to Democrats. Now, those Democrats do have to win in an election, but from a registration standpoint, they have an advantage. That'll play out in that graphic you just showed with respect to how many Republicans are in the House of Representatives and how many Democrats. That graphic that's up right now, 219 to 213. We don't know yet how redistricting will affect those numbers, nor do we know yet how history will affect those numbers in terms of the party being out of office, tending to do well in a midterm.
Political analyst Brian Sobel being generous with his time tonight. Brian, any final thoughts? Where does this story go from here? What should we be tracking next?
Well, I'm going to be eager to hear more detail, and our viewers should as well, about the reasons why Marjorie Taylor Greene has pulled the plug on Congress. I don't think it can only be the fact that she's having a dust up with the President of the United States, because I'm listening to her statement and it's basically a pox on all your houses, and I'm walking away from this. So I'm eager to hear more.
Brian, while we continue to track Capitol Hill, one other thing I will mention, by the way, is and by the way, I will also say that we're getting word, believe this is from the Washington Examiner. This is an interesting angle that I hadn't thought of. I want to bounce this off of you, David Mark, with this, saying MTG is set to resign from the House January 5th, just after passing 5 years in office. That makes her eligible, Brian, for a congressional pension. What do you know about congressional pensions?
Only that.
All right, somebody brought up
they're
the pension
available
thing
and
earlier.
they
Here you
are
go.
Available to a lot of ex-members of the House of Representatives, some that I know, and that because of the fact that she sets January 5th as her walk-away date, if she has hit the 5-year mark, there's a pension available. It's kind of feeds the cynicism that a lot of people have, Austin, about these members of Congress that go into Congress and just make sure that they hit certain marks so that they walk away with something. And looks like the 5 years is right around the January 5th date that she's walking away.
Brian Sobel being generous with his time tonight. Brian, thanks for coming on for the breaking news. We'll talk soon.
My pleasure. Have a good night, Austin.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so there you go, man. That was a little bit about Marjorie Taylor Greene, man, and her resigning. Basically, if you don't know, she says her last day is January 5th, guys. She shocked a lot of people when she came, when she basically provided a video of her speaking on her reasons and why she was going to resign. I heard some about a pension. You just got that right there. They found it rather interesting that she chose, once she was up, to be able to receive a pension to resign. But a lot of people feel like, she's resigning behind Trump calling her a traitor for wanting to release the Epstein files, guys, and the threats that she's been receiving, since she was backing the release of the Epstein files, right? And with everybody demanding, hey, man, release the files, release the files, release the files. The Democrats want the files to be released fully with no redactions, and the Republicans want to redact stuff out of there, saying that they're protecting the victims. So with that being said, it leads people to ask the question, what can we actually expect, to get once these files are released, man? Law and Crime most definitely did a story on it. Let's go over here and see what exactly we can expect from the release of the Epstein files, guys. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Most definitely get those likes up. It helps out the channel. Click the three dots, hit the thumbs up if you're not on the mobile device. And if you are, double tap that screen. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is everything news, and I'm most definitely giving y'all everything that I've heard about Marjorie Taylor Greene, as well as the release of these Epstein files, guys. Let's go.
Files release, and yet, do we really have any idea what's going to be in them? What realistically can we expect here? That's what I want to get into. And also, what are the potential exceptions in this release? What's the apparent mixed messaging from the DOJ? We're going to try to get everything sorted for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Real quick, if you're in the content creation, put this across any network producer, remember only that it's what material we expect from the Epstein files release. In other words, what documents, what materials will we see? Is anything going to be new? There's so much talk about transparency and justice and files. Do we actually know what we're going to see? What can we expect? That's what I want to get into, because where do we currently stand right now? Well, both the House and the Senate, they passed a bill that would require the Department of Justice to release essentially whatever is in their possession regarding Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So what does that mean? The law requires the DOJ, within 30 days of the president signing this, quote, to make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the Department of Justice, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation and United States Attorney's offices that relate to Jeffrey Epstein, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial matters. Now, there are some carve-outs there. Some exceptions. I want to get into what those are. But we go back to the central question. What can we realistically expect? Because here's the thing. So much has already been released. What happened last week? The House Oversight Committee released a plethora of emails and texts from and to Epstein, and the big headlines were about any possible connection to President Trump. We covered this in a previous sidebar. Messages like one from 2011 from Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, his convicted sex trafficker associate, saying, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Ghislaine actually writes back, I have been thinking about that. There's another where Epstein tells author Michael Wolff in 2019, redacted, Mar-a-Lago, redacted. And by the way, this is an email that was sent several months before Epstein's death. It continues, Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. And even beyond what was released last week, you may recall this because we did a number of sidebars on this, but a judge had ordered the release of Epstein-related documents from this settled civil lawsuit between Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts-Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. That's when the record showed Epstein's address book, his connection to high-profile people in further detail, like David Copperfield and former President Bill Clinton. To be clear, though, just because there were these associations, just because they were named, this is not the Epstein list, right? This is not saying that any of these people were involved in criminal activity. This is a guy who had connections, but to be clear, just because they were named doesn't mean that they knew about or participated in any criminal activity. Just want to make that clear. But then you had all this travel information that was released too. This was through a public records request by ABC News to the U.S. Department of State. Records about Epstein's travels, passport files. Last year, a judge released the 2006 grand jury testimony related to the investigation into Epstein abusing underage girls in Florida. Little side note on that. Remember, that's what led to this infamous sweetheart deal where he was allowed to plead guilty in Florida to state charges of solicitation of prostitution and with a minor in exchange for no federal charges being brought against him. And he was sentenced to 18 months in prison, but he was permitted to leave for 12 hours a day for work. And then back in February, you remember when the DOJ released the Epstein files to a group of conservative influencers? Turned out there was nothing really new in there based on everything that I just said was already released. September was interesting.
Hey guys, we need 40 more likes. Let's get those likes past 100, man. If you ain't double tap that screen, make sure you double tap the screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit the thumbs up. You know, we should be well over 100 likes by now. Double tap that screen, guys, if you do not mind. This is a little bit about what you can expect once these files are released, guys. Get the likes up.
This past year, there was a birthday book for Jeffrey Epstein that was released from his estate. The big notable thing from there was this alleged birthday card from Donald Trump that includes an apparent drawing of a nude woman. To be clear, the president has denied authoring this, denied drawing that, denied making this. So I say all that to ask again, how is this Epstein files release going to be different? What will be in there? What can the DOJ hold back? What can we expect from them? Okay, so I want to bring in, I love having him on. We're so lucky that we get him. Special guest, CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig, former federal and state prosecutor, and author of great book. Oh, there we go. Got it centered there. When You Come at the King, encourage everybody to pick it up. It is a great read. Look at that. We didn't even plan that. We have it on at the same time. Ellie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm made of questions. Before we get into what we can expect the DOJ will do, talk about this 30-day window, this is the main question I had. I laid out basically what has been released over the last several years. What do you, Ellie Honig, think that is going to be released? What do you think anything new that's going to be released? We talk about these Epstein files. What new is going to be released in your opinion?
Well, Jesse, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to come on with you anytime. I love Law and Crime Network. I'm a fan of yours and the network as a whole. Second of all, everyone should set their expectations modestly as for what will come out here, because you've been told by members of Congress and others, people in the White House, that here it is, folks. Full disclosure, transparency, you're going to see the Epstein files. Two important qualifications there. One, there is not really such thing. It's not so neat and tidy as the Epstein files. There's not some file cabinet at DOJ that has it all in there. There's a combination of video and surveillance and audio and documents. All we know is it's 300 gigabytes, which you and I aren't really tech guys, Jesse. I tried to figure out. That's like the equivalent of several thousand audio books or ebooks, basically. So it's a massive quantity. But it's not like there's some neat thing where it's like just hit send and boop, there you go, we have it all. But the other thing is, the law that was passed the other day, that Donald Trump signed into law, that Congress passed almost unanimously, again, they're all congratulating themselves, Republicans and Democrats alike, for, look at us, paragons of transparency. The problem with that law is it has two massive exceptions, loopholes, whatever you want to call them, which I'll lay out for you here. The first one is ongoing criminal investigation. Now, Jesse, your listeners and your viewers probably...
Ongoing criminal investigation, guys. That was a tactic that they were saying that Bundy and Trump were using, even though he signed those bills with the ongoing investigation. It could most definitely push back the releasing of the files, and they saying that is a tactic that was used and put in place specifically to block basically the releasing of the files immediately, to where we would have to still wait on the releasing of the files, guys.
Probably no. Ordinarily, DOJ would never just crack open their criminal files. Okay, everyone, come on in. Here you go. Take a look. The only reason this is being done here, there's so much public interest that it resulted in a law being passed. But the law itself says if there's ongoing criminal investigations, DOJ does not have to turn those over. Now, that means it's up to Pam Bondi. So your level of faith that this is going to be a full and transparent disclosure is equal to your level of faith in Pam Bondi. Because I know from being inside DOJ, you can open an investigation on anything you want. You can claim that almost anything relates to an investigation somehow. That's number one. Number two, even broader, there's an exception for any materials in the Epstein files that might impact national security. DOJ can withhold those. Now, you're probably thinking, what could this have to do with, the United States dealing with Venezuela or Israel or whatever? How about this, though? Couldn't an attorney general say, well, that's material in there that's embarrassing or might reflect poorly on the president, the commander in chief, the chief diplomat of the nation. And if it's something that makes him look bad or could be used to embarrass him or could be used to extort him, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, could be made to look like he's in a bad position, that could undermine our national security. Hence, I will withhold that. So those are the two massive loopholes. And the last thing, Jesse, is we're not going to know. It's not as if Pam Bondi has to do what lawyers do sometimes. We do like a privilege log saying, okay, other side, here's a description of some documents that I've withheld because they're privileged. We're not going to have that. We're not going to know what we don't know. We're not going to know what Pam Bondi has chosen to withhold. So again, we are sort of at the mercy and whim of Pam Bondi here.
So in other words, we won't know if everything is really turned over unless there's some evidence to suggest something was withheld. And I want to get into that because...
she may be asked. Look, someone may ask, did you withhold anything? And she may say, yes, consistent with the law. as passed. I've withheld national security. And
remember, when she was asked, she most definitely said, we will follow the law. She wants redactions. Bundy wants redactions, and the Democrats don't. But basically, like they're saying, it falls in her hand. Will Bundy be transparent, or will she work with Trump and basically trying to keep certain names and certain individuals and certain things out of those files, guys?
Investigative files, but we're not gonna see them, and we're not gonna know how many and which ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to get into that a little bit further. There's another aspect of it, too, because it says under this law, they can withhold or redact the identities and personal and medical files of Epstein's victims. They can also withhold material that would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy or depicts or contains child sexual abuse, which they should. But yeah. I guess one of the big questions I've been asked is, so whatever they release, whatever it is they're going to release, is it going to be pages of blacked out redactions?
I would expect that. I think there's going to be two categories of things we don't see. There's going to be entire files, entire documents that we don't know exist that we're not going to see. But yes, get ready to see. Also, it could be, let's give an example. Let's say you have an FBI 302, which, Jesse, as you know, is a formal typed up summary of a witness interview that prosecutors have done. It could be there's a 33-page 302 where half of it is blacked out, where names are blacked out, where individual paragraphs are blacked out. That's going to take a while for DOJ to figure out, although we'll talk about timing in a moment. But yeah, I mean, I would expect to see quite a bit of redaction ink in what we do see.
And just to send it back, so we believe, right, when we talk about what this could be, this is all connected to the Florida and New York investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, right? Generally speaking, I mean, I guess that's what it is, and we'll get a little more granular, but generally,
well,
I think.
That's a great question, because it's not necessarily everything that's known to the world about Jeffrey Epstein. It's not even, I mean, we've already seen that Epstein's estate seems to have some documents that DOJ does not have. there was two major investigations of Epstein. There was the one down in the Southern District of Florida, which was federal, run by Alexander Acosta back in 06, 07, 08, which resulted in his sweetheart deal where he did 13 months in state and he was in and out, of custody. That was the original sin in this case. That was when Alexander Acosta let him off very, very easily. Acosta to this day has never provided a satisfactory explanation of why. But so that'll be one set of documents. How far did they range? We don't know, right? Did they just focus narrowly? How many victims did they have? I mean, we know that there were many victims presented to that office. So that's number one.
And by the way, that might be duplicative of what was released, the 2006 grand jury transcript and all that.
Absolutely, absolutely. The second category, the second bucket of documents is, if you remember, when this all rebubbled to the surface in 2019 was because Donald Trump made Alexander Acosta his, I think it was labor secretary. And all of a sudden people started saying, wait, hang on a second. Isn't this the guy who back in 07, 08 gave Jeffrey Epstein a pass? The Epstein thing came, honestly, Jesse, I hadn't even heard of it until 2019. I don't think I was aware of who Jeffrey Epstein was, just not living in Florida. But in 2019, Alexander Acosta becomes Trump's cabinet secretary. This comes roaring back to life. And now we're into the second bucket, the SNY office in New York picks up this investigation, charges Jeffrey Epstein for a broader range of conduct. He then dies in prison. And then the next year charges Ghislaine Maxwell. She ends up going to trial. So it's going to be those files. But again, the question will be, how broadly did they range? Did they talk to 50 victims or 3 victims? How far back in time did they go? But those are going to be the two buckets of information that DOJ has.
And real quick, this is what's in their possession. In other words, there will be people who look at this and say, wait a minute. This doesn't mean everything that's ever related to Epstein, because there have been reports in the past, there have been accusations in the past that there might have been material that wasn't obtained by authorities, that wasn't obtained by the federal government.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the feds, you can't get everything. And I guess there is an open question one of the criticisms may well be that comes out of this. Well, why did they look so narrowly? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yes, there are documents that the estate has that DOJ doesn't have. There are potentially documents that victims have that they don't have. There have been a whole bunch of civil suits. So yes, it's only contained to what DOJ has, and DOJ has no obligation, and I'm sure has not gone out and built up more files, although they are now allegedly investigating new stuff, but that won't come out because it's current, it relates to a pending investigation.
I want to get to that in a minute. So something to consider here as we talk about what we can expect, right? what happened in July? So the FBI, the DOJ, they released this joint memo saying, quote, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings related to Jeffrey Epstein. This systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Now, we'll talk about what Pam Bondi just said in a press conference regarding this investigation in the Southern District of New York in a minute. But Ellie, now we're talking about the release of these files in light of what was said by the government in July. Does that mean, okay, we're really
Do y'all think we'll get the unredacted files, guys, or will they be heavily redacted? I think it's going to be heavily redacted. That's what I think. Double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. We need them past 100. We need 19 more likes, man. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, so click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner, hit that thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new.
Not going to see anything bombshell tying people to criminal activity? Does that mean, do we know that, hey, did they really 100% look at everything? Or can we really believe that statement in July?
It depends on which version of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel you choose to believe, right? Because they've both had 3 completely different iterations when they were about to take office and in the years leading up to them taking office. And even after they took office as AG and FBI director, it was all, can't wait to turn this over.
Look like a
Kash Patel said, put your big boy pants on, whatever that means. Pam Bondi, the stuff's on my desk. Remember, Pam Bondi had her big release party where she handed out binders at the White House, phase 1. So that's phase 1. Disclose, disclose, disclose. We're the party of transparency. Then phase 2 is what you just said, Jesse, over the summer in July, this memo saying, actually, no, nothing to see here, nothing further to do. I'm going to speculate that they were hoping that would be the end of it. But in fact, it had the opposite effect of causing people to say, what, are you kidding me? After years of promising, now you're saying there's nothing. And now we're into phase 3, which is back to phase 1, which is, oh, no, we have now, yes, sir, we're opening up all these new investigations of Bill Clinton and Reid Hoffman. And this is and yes, we're all in favor of full disclosure and transparency and all that. Now, as for what we're going to see, my best guess is, look, the bottom line question I think everyone's interested, I think the victims are most interested in is who did wrong here beyond Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? We know they're criminals. We know they were the ringleaders, but they can't have been the only ones. And let's be a little more specific. People want to know what powerful men had sex with girls, with underage girls. And I think what we are likely to see is a little different from that, is along the lines that we've seen with Larry Summers, right? Which is embarrassing, disgusting, ridiculous correspondence with him and Jeffrey Epstein, but not necessarily anything I've seen that suggests Larry Summers commits a crime in those emails, at least. Stacey Plaskett, right? The representative in the U.S. House from Virgin Islands, embarrassing interactions with Jeffrey Epstein. He's feeding her questions during congressional testimony, which she's then asking Michael Wolff, the writer, right? I mean, ridiculous.
A lot of people that was intertwined with Epstein,
PR responses and all that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think we're going to see powerful people embarrassed and potentially deservedly so. But I don't believe we're going to get documents where you're going to say, oh my goodness, this proves or strongly suggests that that person committed a federal crime. I would imagine that kind of stuff would be subject to the ongoing criminal investigation exception.
And in terms of video proof or photographic proof, it goes into that exception of if it's depicting minors being abused, that will not be released to the public. But I do wonder, would there be some sort of summary document saying what those videos or photos depict? But I mean, I wouldn't hold my breath on that.
I mean, again, they don't have to, DOJ does not have to, if let's say they have a video that, God forbid, they have some video that shows a child being abused. I think they just withhold that video. I don't think they have to type up a memo saying, be advised. Again, this is what we would call like a privilege log. Like in some forms of litigation, if one party withholds documents from the other, you have to at least say, be advised, we are withholding a document from around this date because it depicts something, whatever. I don't think DOJ is going to have to do that. I don't think we're going to, I mean, they can choose to, but why would they? So no, I don't think we're ever going to know exactly what they've withheld.
And who or who not. Maybe.
Yeah, and by the way, you are right. I mean, the third category of exceptions, which is uncontroversial, is they need to withhold information that would reveal victim identities, compromise victim privacy, and also materials that would show that would be criminal in and of themselves. If there's child sex acts or abuse depicted, that should be withheld. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Well, there are people who are like, okay, just tell us who the adults are in these materials. But okay, put that to the side for a second. And I'll get into the timing of this and what we can expect from the DOJ. I do want your opinion on something, okay? Because, yes, you mentioned it 100% accurately, that they're not going to disclose things if it would hurt or impede an ongoing criminal investigation. It has to be narrowly tailored and things of that. But the president ordered Pam Bondi to open up an investigation, wrote on Truth Social in part, I'll be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. And then Bondi replied on social media, thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity to deliver answers to the American people. Now, this is what Pam Bondi said we should expect.
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill.
Hey, man, I'm not going to beg y'all to hit that like button. Let's get the likes up, guys. Double tap that screen and click the three dots in the right-hand corner and hit the thumbs up. If you're in the building, you might as well like the video. No reason why we should be over here with 400 and some people and only have 89 likes. It's simple, guys. Double tap the screen on your mobile device or click the three dots and hit the thumbs up. Let's get those likes all the way up, guys. I know you guys are interested in the information. I'm interested and willing to give it to you, but most definitely hit that like button, man. It helps out the channel. Let's get the likes up, man. What we doing?
And we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
And she was asked, okay, how do you reconcile that July statement that I mentioned before, so nothing more to see, with now opening a Southern District investigation?
The DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information. And again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward. And we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information? And would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point.
So, Ellie, I mean, she responds, there's new information. There's additional information, new information. Again, thoughts on that statement as we're trying to talk about what we can expect. You have this new investigation after the July statement. She was very vague. On one hand, I would say, look, if there is a real investigation, you're dealing with sensitive matter, of course a prosecutor, of course an attorney general wouldn't want to reveal more information, would be kind of subtle in that. But strange?
I am very dubious of Pam Bondi's explanation there. I mean, to believe her, you would have to believe that sometime after July of this year, so sometime in the last 4 months, after she declared nothing to see here, nothing further to be done, some new victim previously unknown or some new documents previously unknown with no ongoing investigation fell out of the sky to justify, let's now open an investigation of these 4 people or whoever, Clinton and Reid Hoffman and all that. The new information is that Donald Trump said to do it. The new information, I believe, is there is a different political wind blowing now. And that's why, look, Pam Bondi is not very good at when she gets caught. It's like we used to make fun of one of my brothers because he was sort of the worst liar. Like he couldn't keep a poker face and I mean, she's like that too. That was an embarrassing clip. Like if she was confident, if something really new had surfaced.
Double tap that screen, guys, to hit the like button. Double tap. Man, what are we doing? Double tap that screen to hit the like button, guys, or click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. Let's get the likes up.
Since July. If new victims had come forward, she would have said, because the world has changed since July. When I made that announcement in July, that was absolutely true. Case closed. But I'm telling you, we have substantial new information. We have new witnesses. We have new facts. And we have an obligation to follow up on that. And that's what we're doing now. That's not what she said. Instead, you saw her like backpedaling, stammering, offering nothing of substance. So I don't think anything's changed other than the politics of it all.
But it does give them, like you said, maybe a window, maybe an opportunity, a weapon to not disclose more information.
Here's the paradox of it, though. If this is being done faithfully, if they're applying the exception that says you can withhold documents relating to ongoing investigations, that would mean they're going to be withholding documents relating to Bill Clinton and Reid Hoffman, the people that Donald Trump wants to see hurt publicly, harmed in their reputation publicly. But the exceptions would say those are the very documents that now need to be kept away from us. So I'm not sure they've thought this all the way through.
Any doubt the DOJ will release this within 30 days? If we're talking about a timeline, if we're talking about what to expect, will they release it within 30 days? And when?
I have no doubt they will release some documents, and probably a lot, probably as much as they can within that 30-day period. It would just cause uproar if they did not meet their deadlines. Look, this is one of the big questions, Jesse. They could do it on a rolling basis. They could start today and say, here's 10,000 docs, here's another 50,000, here's 100. Or they could just do a huge document dump on day 30th, December 19th. That's up to them. The law does not require them to do it one way or the other. The other thing, though, to know is, again, whatever we get on December 19th, or, between now and December 19th, Pam Bondi needs to be questioned at every opportunity. How much of the total Epstein files have you produced, and how much of the total Epstein files have you withheld? What percent, or at least give us a rough estimate, and we'll see if she's willing and able to answer that. I doubt it. I think she'll probably just say, we've made productions and we've made withholdings based on the law, and that'll be it. But that'll be a burning question. If they release 150,000 pages on December 19th, you and I and the world will, Jesse, we'll have no way of knowing, is this 98% of the file? Is this 53% of the file? And that's a question that I believe she will be posed consistently until we get an answer.
And if a majority of it is duplicative of what we've already seen, the response from the public is going to be quite loud, to say the least.
I think the fundamental thing that the public is having trouble accepting, and which I am, this is where I am also, is that only Epstein and Maxwell, they're the only wrongdoers, they're the only people who worthy of criminal prosecution here. And I don't know, I wish I could say otherwise, but I don't know that we're ever going to get a satisfying answer in prosecution as to who else might be involved. I should note, the statute of limitations on child interstate sex trafficking crimes federally, essentially there is no statute of limitations. So it is theoretically possible, if they can show that some other person was involved in the interstate movement of a person for purposes of child sex abuse, there could theoretically be prosecutions. I mean, I'll give you just a quick example. Ghislaine Maxwell's indictment, which came down in 2020, charged her with conduct that was primarily 1994 to 1997. One of her arguments, which she lost both at the trial court and on appeal in the Second Circuit, was that's too late. The statute of limitations should have been 5 or 10 years. And both the district court and the Court of Appeals said, no, the law has changed, and you can be charged in 2020 for something you did in the 1990s if it's interstate federal sex trafficking of a minor. So I don't want to get expectations up, but I do want to note that that's theoretically still possible.
Ellie, first of all, great analysis on this. I have definitely a better picture of what we can expect. I think we all do. I feel for you because when this is going to be released. You're going to be chained to the CNN desk with either a computer or printouts. Ellie, every 5 minutes, what did you learn? What's new?
Well,
what's new? So
I can give you all a little BTS, as the kids call it, a little behind the scenes. There's a constant call now, starting now at CNN for can you be ready in case the Epstein files drop? Can you be ready? Can you be on standby? Epstein files. So we don't know, like the rest of you, It could come at any moment. It could be an all one shot, but it will be close to Christmas. I think, the bulk of it, I think. So, listen, I'm going to give you a trivia question, Jesse. Do you remember what case was consuming you and me and media all through last year's Christmas? This will make it seem like forever ago.
Was it not Diddy, right? No, it wasn't.
No. Well, Diddy had happened, but it wasn't. There was a brand new story that the actual event happened in early December, and then the arrest and all the court stuff was right through Christmas.
Tells you something about my job that I don't remember.
You'll kick yourself. It's too easy. Luigi Mangione.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, of course. I could have forgot that.
The shooting was, I believe, early December. But I remember where I was for Christmas break. I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas, but we went away. I just remember doing hits from a little makeshift thing on Luigi court appearances and Luigi being flown in the helicopter and all that. So that's still going too.
All right. Well, until everybody can read whatever files are released, come at the King. When you come at the King, everybody.
There you go.
Ellie Honig, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. You were fantastic.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, so that was a little bit about what y'all, what we may be, what we can expect when these files are released, whenever they are released, if they ever are released. Some of them, what we can expect. I see y'all still talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene down there, guys. It says that it's some people that think she was burnt by Trump, guys. Here go a little bit more on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hold on. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Let's go here.
Now, what do you know about her, Herodopoulos?
Let's go here. Them talking about Marjorie.
Listen to this,
I wonder
guys.
What happened.
Did you know this, Herodopoulos?
Okay, let's go back
Taylor
here.
Greene, Dusty
All right,
tells
hold
me,
on.
just announced
Hold on,
she's...
we're going to wait on this one. We're going to go back here. Check this out.
On the agenda, Republican Congresswoman and conservative firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene has just announced that she will resign from Congress and leave office on January 5th, basically a full year before the end of her term. The announcement comes just after the longtime MAGA diehard publicly broke with the president over the Epstein files, which she fought to make public alongside House Democrats. Tonight, Congresswoman Greene made clear that was a factor in her decision.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious.
Believe
I
that
refuse to be a
resigning
battered
has
wife,
something to do
hoping it
with
all
Trump.
goes away and gets better.
I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. Starting us off tonight is MS Now senior White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, who's been covering Marjorie Taylor Greene for a long time. Vaughn, she put out a statement, put out on X, and that video statement, I think they matched each other, says a lot of stuff in there. What's your sense of what motivated her decision to announce her retirement?
The fact that she used the word cult-like when suggesting that is the state of political parties in Washington, D.C., because, I think then when folks think about the magnification of the Republican Party, one of the first faces that they see is Marjorie Taylor Greene. But when, this evolution of the Republican Party under Donald Trump's second term, there were a couple occasions in which she sought to step outside the lines of the decisions that were being made out of the White House. And effectively, as she indicates here in this video, that Speaker Johnson was unwilling to even bring up a great many bills to the floor that she was partly responsible for introducing, that she felt like fell in line with that MAGA agenda. But this is where sort of, I think that we are in Washington, D.C., especially around the idea that there's sort of this a lame duck presidency that is awaiting President Trump, most likely sooner than later. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is cognizant of that. And this is for a few more months, they will have majorities in the Senate and the House. And some of the key major policy initiatives that she wanted to push up on Capitol Hill, they have effectively been blocked. And I think that is where, the midterm elections, she feels like from the government shutdown to the Epstein debacle over the releasing of these files, that those two issues have run afoul of what the party is effectively able to represent. And so I think now it's a question of, are there others like Marjorie Taylor Greene who step out, because I think she was anticipating a bigger coalition coming to her defense, but that's not what she got.
Yeah, and it's sort of in the middle of her statement where she talks about the Epstein stuff. Her break with Donald Trump about this has been very public, and people have talked about it a lot. But if listening to her interviews over the last month or so, it's not just the Epstein stuff. She's taken issue with House Republican leadership over this matter that Democrats were complaining about, the extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. She said she's been getting constituent calls about rural health care, about ACA subsidies. It sounded like she's had it on a lot of fronts.
Right, and she's mentioned tariffs are another example.
Yeah.
That ultimately it's, the consumers, it's people in her congressional district in Georgia that are paying the cost of it. And it runs perpendicular to the message that in 2024, they went and conveyed to constituents back home. And you can say an awful lot of things about Marjorie Taylor Greene and her political career. We have all watched up close from January 6th. And her defense to this day of the pardons for those that were a part of the attack. And I think that is where I think it is difficult to even place not just political figures, but more so people on the ground into boxes of ideologies here today. Allie, I know you and I have had extensive conversations about this. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, in a wild way, is representative of not a both sides America, but one in which, if you go and talk to pretty much anybody, including viewers watching here tonight, they're on a myriad of issues. People have a different understanding, a different lived experience, and different things that compel them to politics and to particular candidates. And what you have heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene and from me talking with people close to her over the last weeks was sort of a disgust, a sadness, and a frustration that those within the party, the Republican Party, including Donald Trump, did not rally to her defense, or not even just rally to her defense, but they went on to attack her. I mean, Donald Trump calling her a traitor. And I think it's worth going back to 2022. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of those people calling for Liz Cheney and those folks that voted to impeach Donald Trump to be ousted. But in so many ways, that is where in the last month she's acknowledged that she should have been better herself in the political discourse, because she didn't speak out in the past years and allowed that sort of politics to play out. And now when it came directed her way, she was in the line of fire. And instead of just choosing not to even run, she's just leaving Congress altogether on January 5th.
Yeah, it'd be clear if anybody reads her statement or listens to the whole thing, she's not becoming a Democrat anytime soon. She had a lot of fire for Democrats and Democratic policies too, but most of it seemed to be focused on Donald Trump and MAGA and House leadership. Vaughn, thanks a million for getting us kicked off. An hour ago, you and I were not planning to talk, but I'm always happy that we do. Vaughn Hilliard for us.
Thanks, my friend. Be good.
All right, so with that being said, okay, so everybody has their own theories, guys. All right, here go Chris Cuomo on what he thinks about it.
Resigning at the turn of the year. January 5th. You guys are both surprised. So am I.
That's news to me.
Did you hear that? What do you think that's about? Dusty, do we know why? What is she saying? Is she running? Is she changing parties? What is she saying? Why is she doing it? All right, they're watching her video. She just released one. Interesting timing. Why announce that now? What do you know about her, Haradopoulos?
Well, I'm not really sure. As you know, though, there's been a break with the president over the last few weeks about a few different issues. But I think when getting into the issue, what you care about most, I think, is affordability. I think that one of the things we can come together on is simple things like income verification. If a person's getting a subsidy, meaning tax dollars from another taxpayer, we should make sure they're actually eligible for the program, whether it be for Medicaid, whether it be for food stamps, whether it be for health care subsidies.
That's not the big
Let's
slice.
make sure that's a starting point.
Yeah, but
it's no, Chris. I've got to correct you here.
The big slice
Let me give you
go after.
Let me give you one example. One example. Thank you. So they went through the numbers. 1/3 of the people who were on Obamacare last year did not use Obamacare at all. Not to see the doctor, not for a script, for a vaccine, anything. That means a lot of people
that doesn't mean it's fraud.
Are having a situation where the insurance.
No. The average in the private sector is around 10%. What we want to do, again, we're not asking to penalize people. We want to help people who are truly in need. But there is fraud within the system. And one of the simplest ways we did in Florida is...
Let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. If you're on a mobile device, simply double tap your screen or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. As we look a little bit more into why Marjorie Taylor Greene could have possibly resigned, guys. Could it have been by the threats that she was receiving for supporting releasing the Epstein files, or the with Trump calling her a traitor and the things that he had to say about it? Let me know in the comments. But most definitely double tap that screen. That's how you get the likes up, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new.
Income verification, and that's the first way to start.
I know, you can
Just
do
like with the
income
border,
verification.
you want
You
to
can
have
do
a
that.
wall before you reform immigration.
Yeah, but you didn't get a wall, right? What you did was you took advantage of the Democrats having a lapsed policy. We were never a wall away from safety. And that is not how you fix healthcare in this country. The biggest slice of the population
Chris,
you're talking about, they don't file claims because they're healthy. They don't file claims because they're healthy, not because they're phantoms.
I want you to go back. Chris, I want you to go back to 2012. The key component, my wife's a primary care doctor. It's very passionate in Florida and why it's important. They said that the key was having primary care. We wanted you to go to see a primary care doctor so you didn't run into a big expense at the emergency room. That's why it's so important. If you're on Obamacare, you go to see your doctor. You need to really push that agenda out, because when you do that, it really makes the program work. Care's base premise was that. So we want to push that idea. And then beyond that, we also want to make sure that everybody benefits. There's 165 million people I'm also worried about, not just those in Obamacare, because their rates are going up as well. So I'm looking forward to working with Democrats. You've seen Katie Britt and others talk about solutions. We're at the table talking about it as we speak.
Look, Mike, I'm happy to hear it. I like the new you, right? Because you guys couldn't get anything done. That's why the government got shut down. Now, Suhas, here's the interesting aspect. Picking apart arguments for why things haven't gotten done is pretty easy, all right? The real story of the ACA is that the right has never wanted to work on it. They wanted to remove it. They just don't have any other plan. And now you need a plan. So there's an opportunity. Her resigning, I don't understand what that means. I think she's become much more of a player, MTG, rhetorically, than she is in terms of actually being relevant for policy. But within the Democrats, do you believe there's a real appetite for passing legislation that would technically be a win for Trump because he's in power and in the majority if it lowers costs for health care for the majority of Americans?
Well, first of all, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've passed bipartisan legislation all the time, even in this Congress. And so if it's a win for the American people... yeah, we passed many pieces of legislation, 435 to 0. But I'll just say, just because it's, I want the American people to win in all of this. So the American people, I think, do win when we work together and are bipartisan. I want to say on Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, that I'm not surprised. I've seen a lot of Republicans showing up to Democratic Party meetings lately. There's a lot of people on the right, and including the far right, that are fed up with this president and his failed promises. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is clearly one of them. And so I'm not surprised that she's resigning, because I think she's realizing and feeling like she's been betrayed on so many issues at this point. But yeah, I would love to work with Republicans on lowering costs and in a bipartisan way. But I haven't seen a healthcare plan that would actually do that. Nor the ones that I do see are basically taking away healthcare. So yes, having no healthcare costs nothing. Having very little healthcare that has a bias against pre-existing conditions, like we did before the Affordable Care Act, that's not a good plan. And that's what people rejected in the past. And that's why the Affordable Care Act is still very popular.
Let's see what you guys can do. I'm hearing more people talk about wanting to see some action. Let's see it. MTG says this. She's leaving because she's sick of the inaction of the two parties and the constant division, and she wants to spend more time with her family, and she doesn't want to be considered a battered wife. I don't know what that means exactly, but I don't think it means what it literally suggests. So we'll see what this means. This is weird timing for her to do this, and it's weird for your party, especially given the margins in the House, but we'll see what it means. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below. And
so that's what Kumo was thinking. We also have more. It says names in the Epstein files need context or become Salem witch hunt. Bill O'Reilly and Kumo talk about the Epstein files. Let's go.
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law.
What law? What new information? They put out a statement saying,
I'm so used to seeing Bill O'Reilly, Chris Kumo clean shaven, no mustache, that he looked funny with a mustache. But let's go.
they've looked at everything. Here's what it is. There will be no more prosecutions now. What is it? The president doesn't like the optics of this, so he's saying pivot and pretend it's the other side? Let's get perspective. The best-selling author of many best-selling books, including the latest, Confronting Evil, Mr. Bill O'Reilly. What am I missing about this, Bill?
Everything. Your whole presentation tonight is... And so I'm here, and you're lucky I'm here. I'm going to do it gently, Cuomo, because it's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah, you're known for that. Subtle.
Humanistic. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is that Pam Bondi just said 5 times in less than 30 seconds, there's new information. But she's not going to tell us what it is.
No.
Because that's not what any law enforcement agent does. But I'm not making excuses for it.
No, not you.
I have no idea what they're doing. No, look, I know you live to put me in that box.
Yeah.
Every morning you get up and say, "Oh, I just want to put O'Reilly in the MAGA box." I know you do.
So if
I
it were
know
Merrick Garland saying that, you'd be saying, "I wonder what the new information is from Merrick Garland." This is really interesting.
I'd like to know what the new information is, but
There's no new information.
Not a chance in hell you're going to get it.
There's no new information.
And you're going to get it from it.
There's no new information.
Okay, well, you're Karnak the Magnificent, you know. I don't know. I'm waiting. And I'll wait a long time because they don't want to give out any information. Okay, so let's just go back for a moment. I wrote a book called Killing the Killers, and I hope you read it. If you haven't, tomorrow you need to start. Barack Obama used the exact same technique that Donald Trump is using to wipe out ISIS in Iraq. And he declared ISIS a danger to the United States. And then he waxed them to the tune of maybe 5,000. Didn't consult with Congress, didn't consult with anybody. Nobody knew about it. Nobody could get any information out of the Defense Department about it. It was all secret. Special forces were there, drones were there, wiped them out. Obama loses, Obama ends his second term, Trump comes in, follows the exact same policy as Obama. Didn't change anything. And then about 8 months later, Trump came out and said ISIS is done, and it was done. That is exactly what's happening now with Venezuela. Same dictum, same thing. Then you go back a little further, maybe when you were in high school, and Bush the Elder removed Noriega in Panama under the, and he didn't even bother with Congress either. He just said, this guy's running a narco state, and we're taking him out. And U.S. troops went in. Okay, took him out, installed a much friendlier government to the United States. So that, just want to put it on the record. It's not Trump doing something that hasn't been done. He's just using every bit of power he has. Now, does he want Maduro out? Yes, he does. Is this a pretense to shake up Maduro? Yes, it is. Are drugs a danger to the United States? Yes, they are. Has this been going on far too long? 4 decades? Yes, it has. Is there any other way to beat the cartels? No, there's not. There. Now, you want to get into what with Bondi and the Justice Department?
The president.
What do you want?
The president just announced that he signed the Epstein release bill. So now it's just about the timing and see how the DOJ does it. It just happened while you were speaking. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, I knew that was going to happen, and I won a lot of money with my liberal friends. I baited them, and I'll give it all to charity. So now,
give it to the East Hampton Fire Department.
Pam, you know you got a donation from me for those people.
Thank you very much, Bill.
They can all go to Florida on spring break with what I'm giving them.
No, that's not what we're using it for.
I know. So it makes a very.
This was a talk that they had the other day about the Epstein files. He already signed it. I think 2 days ago he signed it. to let you know who said, why is he just now signing it? The problem is with the signing of the bill, there was no video, we have no pictures, the media just spoke on it because Trump took the Truth Social and said that he signed the bill. But we have no video evidence yet of him signing the bill or any photos of him signing the bills. So that's where we at right now.
Difficult for Attorney General Bondi to do any sleight of hand now. When the president has signed and only one person voted against it, a guy in Louisiana, a congressman, who I assume doesn't have cable TV. Right? Maybe he was in a bayou teche. Maybe he couldn't get back from the bayou. I don't know. One guy, all right, 500 plus voted to release it. And American people want it out. Okay, so now we're going to see, not everything, because they'll have to redact some things. Now I want to give you a compliment, Cuomo, and I hate to do this.
He said we won't see everything because they're going to redact some things.
And you've got a lead guest, a lawyer for one of the victims, okay? One of the survivors, whatever the name is now, okay? Makes a very compelling case that her client's life was ruined by Epstein and these powerful guys, and we need to know everything. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, we do. Then you take your 4-minute and 27-second break, and who shows up but Alan Dershowitz, who proceeds to destroy the victim, the survivor, destroy her by what she had said. And I don't think you knew it. I certainly didn't know it, and no one watching knew it, that the woman was a loon, was falsely accusing everybody, said all Jewish people I know are pedophiles. Now, I wanted to ask you, when you heard Dershowitz say that, which is undeniably true, what did you think?
It made me think that two things can be true at once. She denies, Ms. Farmer denies having said it the way Alan puts it out, and we don't have a direct transcript of it. A lot of it is anecdotal. And she could be anti-Semitic and been assaulted. It could be both.
But it goes to credibility, though.
It definitely goes to credibility, and it's a reason that may she rest in peace was never put on the stand. But just because somebody could be torn up on cross-examination doesn't necessarily mean they're lying, Bill.
But here, no, I'm not convicting the woman of anything. What I'm saying is, this story was not told in any kind of context. It wasn't.
Well, I'm not going to, but I don't shy away from context.
Viewers didn't know.
Here's what I knew. No, I was aware of it, but it was Alan's story to tell because it was part of his case file. But that's not the point. What I definitely knew was what was going to happen when he said it, which is just about everybody on the left calls Alan Dershowitz a pedophile, that he's a pedophile protector, and that he's lying about this and he smears all women because you are on one side or the other. That's my problem with the Epstein release.
Did they do that last night? Because I didn't see it.
He's getting killed. He's getting killed. They can't have him on anymore.
So they killed.
You smeared the attacker.
They killed Dershowitz. Okay.
Of course. Of course. So look, go ahead.
Wait. This makes my point that I made last week on this broadcast. When you have a fanaticism like that, and that's not everybody, this is the fringe, both on the left and the right. These are the loons. When you have that, these people are going to use anything, anything to destroy the opposition. So when you release, all right, thousands and thousands of pages.
It's coming.
It's most definitely coming.
With names that are not in any context whatsoever, people's lives are going to be destroyed. This is what happened in Salem, Massachusetts. Oh, so-and-so is hanging around with the witch. And I saw it hasn't changed in 300 years. That is the danger of this whole thing. Now,
look, it's hard. I mean, Dershowitz said
you have to release the material.
Everything, but you said they're going to redact certain things. What I don't understand is, they're going to redact the victim's information. If the victims want the information out, the survivors want the information out, then you should at least consult with them, because the more things are redacted, the less this release is going to matter. Because remember, it's been overhyped.
I don't have any beef with that.
It's been overhyped so much that people are already going to say, well, they told us during the MAGA campaign that this was going to unveil Pizzagate in the deep state. And they told us on the Republican side that the whole Epstein class is going down. They're taking down all the elites. And when that doesn't happen, they'll want more.
Look, people believe what they want to believe. There's a Morning Consult poll out yesterday. It said 60% of the people have already convicted Trump of crimes against humanity because of Epstein. 60% already convicted him. He's guilty. We don't really need any evidence, do we? Let's just get the tree and the noose and do what they did in Salem, because that's who we are now. This is so dangerous. Oh my God, this is dangerous. So guys like me, and I hope you, all right, will then watch the reaction to what comes out and try to provide context to it so that people and families don't get destroyed. Because if we don't, and we're the last line of defense here, if we don't, people are going down, and hard.
Yeah, won't be the first time. That's what cancel culture is all about, crowdsourced consequences without due process. But you're right, we are on watch for what happens. But I got to tell you, there are a lot better positions to be in than defending people accused of protecting pedophiles.
You don't have to defend. You do not have to defend. All you have to do is present, like Dershowitz did last night. I believe Dershowitz, and I'm not
believe him too.
Dershowitz.
I believe him too, and I got to tell you, I mean, he says he was able to do what most people can't, which is prove he didn't do something. Depends who your audience is. Yeah, the allegation was recanted by Ms. Giuffre, who's passed away since then, took her own life, and his defamation suit went away, and they negotiated words that they were both happy with about it. But most people still think that he's in the Epstein files and he's dirty. These are tough times.
Yeah, because they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
All they do is read the headline.
Bill O'Reilly, thank you for your perspective as always. Thank you for watching.
All right, so that was Bill O'Reilly and Chris Cuomo on the Epstein files. Man, I got a lot of Trump supporters in here, I see. I found something on Trump that was rather interesting. You know, a deposition, guys. Let's get into this deposition of Trump. And to the Trump supporters, tell me what this is all about.
Correct?
Yes.
Sitting here today, can you recall any TV interviews that you did that you remember?
I did everything.
Let's most definitely double tap that screen, guys, and get the likes up. We should be well over 200 likes by now. We really should be at like 500. It says Donald Trump's video deposition of the R-word lawsuit made public, guys. This is Trump's deposition. They're accusing Trump of a very heinous thing, guys. This was his deposition back in 2022. Trump supporters, what is going on? Let me know. I know y'all down there. Double tap that screen, guys, if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. You know, most definitely get those likes up, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. Yeah, man, this is a Trump deposition on an R case, you know, which involved him. I don't know if he was found guilty or innocent. I just know I ran across this and it kind of piqued my interest. Let me know what's going on. Trump supporters, let me know.
Let me say everything. Give me some examples if you can.
I did the late night shows. I did the newscasts. I even did some of the political shows on Sunday, even though I wasn't really in politics as I am now. But they wanted me to do that, and I did that. They'd asked me to do them all the time. So I did quite a bit of television.
I think you already answered this question, but just so the record is clear, did you watch the program Good Morning America from time to time in this period of the late 1980s through the mid-1990s?
A little bit.
Did you appear on the Today Show during this period?
Yes.
Same question, did you watch the Today Show during this period?
A little bit.
During this period, did you have any friends in the television industry, who worked in the television industry?
Probably. I wasn't much involved at that point in the television industry, but I probably did.
Anyone come to mind right now?
Maybe Bob Wright.
Who was Bob Wright?
He was the head of NBC, I think, at that time.
What about Roger Ailes? When did you become friends with Roger?
Later.
Approximately?
During the, more in the 7-8 year ago period.
What years were you married to your first wife, Ivana Trump?
So, about 78 to
The early 90s.
Your next wife was a woman by the name of Marla Maples.
Right.
And sitting here today, do you recall what years you were married to Ms. Maples?
What's up, Jim? Now
I'd have to get the exact dates for you. I can do that very easily.
In the course of your dating life and your married life, did you have occasion to buy gifts for women you were seeing?
Not much, actually.
Well,
I mean, if it was a birthday or something, I guess, yeah.
and other than birthday presents, did you buy gifts for women you were dating?
I mean,
this is a Trump deposition, guys, from 2022 when he was accused of the R word. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? MAGA supporters that's in the building, let me know. What is this all about, guys? Why did they have Trump in here giving the deposition about the R case? You know what I'm saying? What did he allegedly do?
possible, but I don't think very much, no.
I take it you bought gifts for your wives for their birthdays?
Yes, generally.
And I take it you bought gifts for women you were dating?
It's, probable.
At least in your first marriage, you were seeing women outside of your marriage while you were married, correct?
I don't know.
Well, you were very public about the fact that you were seeing Ms. Maples when you were still married to Ivana Trump, no?
No, I don't think I was public about it.
Well, there were many articles about it at the time, correct?
No, I don't think I was public about it. But if, no, I don't think I was public about it.
Miss Pooh, they got out of here fast. Now understand, I'm not against Trump. I just ran across this. I'm trying to figure out from the supporters of Trump, people who've been following him for a long time, why was he accused of this R and gave this deposition? What was going on then?
Oh.
Yeah, isn't it true that you were seeing Ms. Maples before you were divorced from Ivana Trump?
I don't know. It was toward the end of the marriage, so I don't know really. It could be a lap over, but I don't really know.
Did you ever have occasion to go to the department store Bergdorf Goodman?
Very rarely.
You say very rarely. Can you?
I most definitely, no, I'm not slandering anyone. I'm just saying, this is what the title reads. This is most definitely a report from the news from when this was made public. So this most definitely happened. It happened on when he's giving his deposition on October 19th of 2022, guys. Yeah, this is most definitely real. It ain't AI. It ain't none of that. He was accused of an R and gave a deposition, guys.
Any more detail? How rarely?
I mean, almost never.
Hold on, who are you, guy? First 99, you don't run nothing over here. Let me tell you what you just won yourself by telling me to just play the video. You just won yourself a free ride on a rocket ship. The hell up out of here. Let's get 99 up out my chat, because you don't run nothing over here. You don't tell me what to pause, what not to pause, when to talk, when not to talk. Let's get you right up out of here. Moderators, get 99 right up out my chat. We'll holler at you. You just got deported.
Very rarely go there.
When you went there, what do you recall shopping for?
I don't know. It's possible I was there, but I don't know that I ever shopped there for myself.
So when you shopped there for yourself, to the extent you went there, you were shopping for others?
I don't think I ever shopped for others. It's possible that one or both of my wives shopped there a little bit, but I don't remember ever buying something for myself at Bergdorf Goodman. I went there very seldom, almost if ever.
Then let's limit it to Bergdorf's. Bergdorf's was pretty close to Trump Tower and very close to the Plaza Hotel, correct?
That's right.
I'm handing you a document that's been marked as DJT 18. It bears the Bates range, Carol 24378 through 24385. You have that in front of you?
Yeah.
Sitting here today, do you recognize this document?
No.
I will represent to you that this is the excerpt from Ms. Carroll's book that was published in New York Magazine originally online on June 21, 2019.
Okay.
Okay, they saying yes. This is about Gene Carroll, guys. He allegedly raped. Oops, why did I say? He allegedly did something, the R word, allegedly to a woman named Gene Carroll, into which he had to do a deposition, guys. Shout out to Nene the Great for getting those 5 memberships. Most definitely appreciate you.
At any point in time, did you read this article?
Excuse me?
Did you ever read this article? This document?
No, I don't believe I did.
I'm giving you a book. It's marked as DJT19. It's a book by E. Jean Carroll.
Yep, they just said her name.
For?
E. Jean Carroll. So this is most definitely what this is about, guys.
And if you look at the publication date,
they said she owes Trump money for lying her butt
says
off.
first edition, July 2019. Do you have that? Do you have the book in front of you? I'm sitting here today, sir. Have you ever read either this book in its entirety or any portion of this book?
No, never have. I've never seen the book.
Okay. You responded publicly.
All right, so somebody put it in the context. They said the victim of the R word, the victim of the R word admitted to her friend it was a money grab. E. Jean Carroll was saying he was doing a public book signing, and while dozens were there to see him, he dragged her off and awed her. Okay, I bet. All right, there you go.
To Ms. Carroll's allegations on the same day that the excerpt was published in New York Magazine, which was June 21, 2019, correct?
I think so.
They said that she didn't admit anything. Let's go. So we got some that said she admitted it was a money grab, and then somebody just said that she didn't admit anything. All right, so it's up for debate. Let's go.
Let's take a look at that. So what we've handed you as DJT20 is a blown up, for legibility purposes, version of a tweet posted by a woman by the name of Laura Litvin at 5:17 p.m. on June 21st, 2019. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
The statement that is in this tweet, is this a statement that you gave?
I mean, essentially, that's what I said, yeah.
If you could read that statement into the record. It says, statement from President Donald J. Trump. Regarding the, quote, story, unquote, by E. Jean Carroll, claiming she once encountered me at Bergdorf Goodman 23 years ago, I've never met this person in my life. She is trying to sell a new book that should indicate her motivation. It should be sold in the fiction section. Shame on those who make up false stories of assault to try to get publicity for themselves or sell a book or carry out a political agenda, like Julie Swetnick, who falsely accused Justice Brett Kavanaugh. It's just as bad for people to believe it, particularly when there is zero evidence. Worse still, for a dying publication to try to prop itself up by peddling fake news. It's an epidemic. Ms. Carroll in New York Magazine, no pictures, no surveillance, no videos, no reports, no sales attendants around, question mark. I would like to thank Bergdorf Goodman for confirming they have no video footage of any such incident because it never happened. False accusations diminish the severity of real assault. All should condemn false accusations and any actual assault in the strongest possible terms. If anyone has information that the Democratic Party is working with Ms. Carroll or New York Magazine, please notify us as soon as possible. The world should know what's really going on. It's a disgrace, and people should pay dearly for such false accusations. See, that's what you have in front of you?
Yeah.
And I think you've already confirmed that this is a statement that you gave to someone on your staff to give to the press.
Yeah.
Let's mark as DJT21, a document bearing the base range. DJT21, this is the next one, right? DJ 2021, a document bearing the Bates range MP 1795 through MP, I've got it, just a second, through MP 1807. You have that in front of you?
Yeah.
And these are statements that were put out when you were president of the United States?
Yeah.
And if you look at the top email, kind of the address of the email, it says under that, remarks by President Trump before Marine One departure.
Yes.
Marine One is a helicopter?
Yes.
And if you look where it shows you speaking about halfway or 2/3 of the way down the document, it says, the very first thing you say, so we're going to Camp David.
Yes.
So am I correct in interpreting this as this is a statement you made while boarding or getting on to Marine One?
Looks like it.
To go to Camp David?
It looks like it.
Okay. Let's go now to the third statement, which we're going to mark as, this one I can do, DJ 222. Thanks. You have in front of you, sir, a document, 5-page document. The first page says in bold type, exclusive, Trump vehemently denies E. Jean Carroll allegations, says she's not my type. It's from a publication known as The Hill. It's dated June 24th, 2019, and it's attributed to the gentleman Jordan Fabian, and maybe not be gentleman, but it's attributed to two people, Jordan Fabian and Cigar and Genti. You see that?
Yes.
So this is 2 days after.
Now, to my Trump supporters in the building, y'all wouldn't lie to me now, would y'all? Yeah. Hold on, because tell me what this is. Hold on real quick. I'm going to come back to that. They told me to look her up. Check this out.
New York finding Donald Trump.
This is what this is about. Look at the name, E. Jean Carroll. Look.
The Republican presidential frontrunner by far, liable for sexually abusing and defaming writer E. Jean Carroll. The jury also awarding the former magazine columnist nearly $5 million in damages to be paid by Mr. Trump. Carroll walked out of the Manhattan courthouse just moments ago with her lawyer, who said that they are, quote, very happy with the jury's decision. Carroll's lawsuit stemmed from an encounter between her and Trump in a New York department store dressing room in 1996, Bergdorf Goodman's, where she claims Donald Trump sexually assaulted her. Donald Trump just reacted on his social media platform, writing in all caps, quote, I have absolutely no idea who this woman is. This verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time, unquote. This all comes as Trump is facing another very serious case in New York City. Just last month, the former president pleaded not guilty to 34 felony charges related to hush money payments to adult film star and director Stormy Daniels, not to mention investigations by the Justice Department into January 6th. And to
no wonder they got out of here so fast. Well, I'll be dog. Well, I'll be. Well, I'll be darned. Well, dang.
Those classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, not to mention the investigation by prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia, who are looking into his attempt to flip Georgia, perhaps illegally, in the 2020 election. But let's go back.
Now, y'all told me that this woman came out and said that she lied and it was a money grab, you know, this, that, and the third. But I'm seeing right here it says jury finds Trump guilty.
To the first verdict. Let's get right to CNN's Kara Scannell outside the courthouse in New York. And Kara, this was pretty quick, and it was also, I think it was more money than she was originally asking for.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, this verdict was returned just over 2.5 hours of deliberations. That seemed extremely quick for a jury forum that had a number of questions that they had to answer. And the jury here found that Trump was liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. That's all related to her story that she says Trump raped her in Bergdorf Goodman department store in the mid-1990s. And they also found that Trump defamed her when he made these statements on October 12th saying that he did not know who Carroll was. He said that her story was a hoax and that she was not his type.
Well, you talking about if it was real, it'll be all over the news. Well, just go type in E. Jean Carroll, and it most definitely pops up, my guy. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is most definitely, this is real.
Now, over this, there were 7 days of testimony. The jury heard from 11 witnesses that Carroll put on. Trump did not put on a defense, although the jury did see the video deposition of him. And that's something that Carroll's team had argued would cut against him. And it seems that the jury did agree with that and find in that way. And they also awarded Carroll $5 million in damages. Now, as this verdict was read just after 3 p.m. Eastern time today, it was read by the judge's clerk. Carroll was sitting there next in between two of her attorneys. She was holding the hands of one of her attorneys. And when the question came of, did they prove that E. Jean Carroll proved that Trump had sexually abused her, and the answer was yes. You could see that she looked relieved. She was leaning forward at times. She, exchanged smiles with one of her attorneys. And then the judge had excused the jury after they ran through the verdict, and he polled each and every one of them, 6 men, 3 women. They all said that this was their unanimous verdict. Then Carroll was still in the courtroom, and Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, walked over to her, shook her hand. He also shook the hands of her attorneys. It was a very civil trial between both sides. They were both very respectful of each other despite what was on the line. And we saw that continue through this final moment. And then, as you mentioned, Carroll left. We're waiting for her to have a statement based on this verdict. I mean, it was, she says this rape occurred 27 years ago. The jury agreed with her. And it was something she only came public with in 2019. And that lawsuit, that initial lawsuit, is still working its way through the system. She brought the second lawsuit under a new New York law, the Adult Survivors Act, just in November. So, certainly a big moment for her. And, her lawyers had said to the jury that they weren't looking for a specific amount of money, that this was really about Carroll getting her name back. So that, I imagine we will hear a little bit from Carroll about that, something she'd been fighting for. We have not seen Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, leave the courthouse just yet. We're waiting to see if he's going to make any statements, if they will move to appeal in this case. I mean, he previously asked for...
This is crazy. See, y'all done opened up a can of worms, man. I be dog. Check this out. All right, so that was a little bit on how that was her winning, and this is her talking about what she won.
Roberta Kaplan, we really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Love being here.
What was it like to be with Donald Trump in that courtroom? He did not attend your first trial, but he was there when it came down to the money and what it would cost him. You hadn't seen him since 1996.
I hadn't seen him since he assaulted me in the dressing room. And preparing to see him was terrifying. The days leading up, as Robbie brought me around stronger and stronger, it was so, I hadn't slept, I hadn't eaten, I couldn't think, I lost my language when she was trying to prepare me to go to do testimony in front of Donald Trump. And then when we were in the courtroom and Robbie went to the lectern, she said, "Good morning, Eugene. Please state your name and spell it for the jury, for the court." And there he was.
Y'all talking about this lady is insane, but she won a court battle with Trump and got $83.3 million. What are we talking about? She ain't too insane. The jury believed her.
Was nothing. He was just no power. He was zero. I was flabbergasted. And from then we just sailed through. She brought me in. She said, "Say your name." And I just looked at Robbie, saw he was nothing, and it came out from there.
Did you make eye contact with him?
Many times.
And what was that like?
Right. And this was a couple years ago. But as of hold on, man. Yeah, I might have to go into this and just relive this once again one day. But 2 months ago,
back to life now,
Trump then went to the appeals court. It says appeal courts upholds $83 million verdict against Trump for defaming E. Jean Carroll. What are we doing? I know y'all love Trump. I'm just saying though, y'all, man, this was 2 months ago.
From Fox, take a look at your screen. The Associated Press reporting on this Monday, breaking. The appeals court upholding the 83.
Y'all saying this woman crazy, but she winning all the way around. What's going on, guys?
$0.3 million defamation judgment that Ejean Carroll won from President Donald Trump. As we are learning about this breaking news, I want to provide more perspective on this story. In a ruling issued this Monday, the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejecting President Trump's appeal of the defamation award, finding that the jury's damages awards are fair and reasonable. AP goes on to report
she may not have seen a dollar yet. You may be right about that. A lot of people owe people money and don't pay, but that don't mean they don't owe them. Yeah, he most definitely owe her $83 million, according to. Yeah, I'm just saying, according to the courts. What are y'all? So if somebody owe you money and don't pay you, that don't mean that they don't owe you. That's all I'm saying.
That President Trump had argued that he should not have to pay the sum as a result of a Supreme Court decision expanding presidential immunity. His lawyers did ask for a new trial. A civil jury in Manhattan issuing the $88.3 million award last year following a trial that centered on Trump's repeated social media attacks against Carroll.
She may not never get a cent, whoever just said that. But that don't mean it ain't owed to her. Y'all got to stop that, man. Trump owe her $83 million, whether he give it to her or not. He owe it.
Over her claims that he sexually assaulted her in a Manhattan department store back in 1996. Now, that award followed a separate trial in which Trump was found liable for sexually abusing Carroll in order to pay $5 million. That award was upheld by an appeals court last December. In a memoir and again at a 2023 trial, Carroll described how a chance encounter with Trump at Bergdorf Goodman's Fifth Avenue in 1996 started with the two flirting as they shopped, then ended with a violent encounter, as Carroll said.
Envious. That is fine, man. That is fine. Y'all can swing hard. I ain't tripping. What I'm telling y'all is, you said you was supposed to get 25,000 and only got 2,000. They still owe you, dog. You ought to be fighting harder to get your money. Because at the end of the day, they still owe you. One thing, y'all can say whatever y'all want. This woman went to court, won. They took it to a higher court, won. I seen somebody say they taking it to Supreme Court. She might still win and might not never see a cent of her money, okay? But that don't mean he don't owe her. That's all I'm saying. So however y'all want to twist and turn it and flip it and say, well, she'll never get paid. That don't mean he don't owe her. He owe her. She won. Y'all can flip it however y'all want to.
It happened there in that department store with a violent struggle inside of a dressing room. Carroll saying that the now President Trump slammed her against a dressing room wall, pulled down her tights, and forced himself on her. A jury did find Trump liable for sexual assault, but concluded he had not committed rape as defined under New York law. President Trump repeatedly denying that the encounter took place and accusing Carroll of making it up to help sell her book. He also said that Carroll was, quote, not my type. The 2023 jury awarded Carroll $5 million to compensate her for both the alleged attack and statements that Trump made denying that it ever happened. After that first verdict, the court held a second trial with a new jury for the purpose of deciding damages for additional statements Trump made attacking Carroll's character and truthfulness. President Trump has skipped that first civil trial, but he attended the second, which took place as he was running for president in 2024. Speaking to reporters throughout the trial, Trump portrayed the lawsuit as part of a broader effort to...
And y'all know what I see what's going on? I see the bias in people. I'm going to tell y'all why I say that. Because have it been another person or somebody else, that was brought up on the same type of thing and was found liable, or quote unquote guilty in court, y'all will be saying, oh yeah, they did it. Yeah, they did it. Lock them up, throw away the key. Yeah, they did it. But since it's Trump and y'all like him, or you show your bias because you like them, you're like, well, she's crazy. Oh, she didn't know what she was talking about. Oh, she just got up there and lied, and now they want her to pay him to pay her money, and yeah, he ain't gonna give her nothing, and I think that's fine. But if it was anybody else, y'all be saying, yeah, lock him up, throw away the key, throw away. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel, and that shows the bias in people. Y'all can't be like that. If you're gonna say that somebody else is guilty because the courts find them guilty of doing something, then you just can't say that another person ain't guilty and the same court found them guilty of something. What are we doing, man? Yep, you said it, Miss Pooh Bear. Yep, Diddy them. Yeah, just like with Diddy. Yeah, they was ready to throw Diddy away, and it's corrupt. Oh, the system is broken. This, that, and the third. Yeah, but with Trump's situation, y'all like, no, we gonna turn the blind eye. We ain't gonna eat no. No, we just don't accept it. Even though the court said it happened, we don't believe it happened. No, she's lying. Oh, she's capped. Oh, she's crazy. Yeah, man, I see it. It's all right, though. I'm just saying. That's how I'm feeling.
Smear him and prevent him from regaining the White House. His lawyers did complain, saying that the judge, in setting rules for the second damages trial, had barred Trump and his defense team from claiming in front of the jury that he was innocent of the attack. The judge ruling that the issue had been settled by the first jury and did not need to be revisited. So a lot we are following as it relates to this breaking news this Monday. Again, take a look at your screen as the Associated Press does report that an appeals court did uphold E. John Carroll's $83.3 million defamation judgment against President Donald Trump. Of course, this is a developing story. We have you covered with the latest and most accurate information here on.
Yeah, y'all can't trick me. I know better. I don't care what y'all say. I know y'all biased, but it's okay. Y'all be biased towards whoever y'all want to be biased towards. But here go this deposition.
The last statement we're looking at, which was on June 22nd. Do you recall having an interview with reporters from The Hill on June 24th, 2019?
Vaguely, yes.
And do you recall where that interview took place?
It was in the Oval Office.
And you're quoted just below that paragraph as saying as follows, and this one I'll read.
Okay, you saying, hold on, I just seen somebody say something. Hold on. They said the Supreme Court arguments. Trump lawyers are arguing that the trial judge made improper evidentiary ruling, which they claim prejudiced the jury. Okay, all right. And I'm pretty sure in the last one that he tried to do, that they most definitely said the same thing and they lost. So will you still be saying, oh, this woman crazy, oh, she don't owe him no money, if the Supreme Court says Trump is still liable? Will you still be making the same argument that he ain't do nothing wrong, this, that, and the third? Even if the Supreme Court, which is the highest court, says, well, we feel like he owes her money.
Say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. Number two, it never happened. It never happened, okay? And then the reporters say, the president said while seated behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. See that?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not biased, because I'm not on either side. I'm not on Trump's side, I'm not on her side. I'm just calling out how people turn the cheek depending on who it is. You see what I'm saying? Like, when Diddy went to trial, I was saying, yeah, man, I feel like he did all that. But the jury, didn't feel like he was responsible for all of that. And there were people, even though he got whatever he got, that felt like he didn't do it. And there was people that felt like he did, just depending on how you feel, So I'm saying, y'all people, will ride with the courts on certain things, when it comes to certain individuals, and be like, well, the court said they was guilty. Yeah, they guilty. But when it's somebody they like, the court say they guilty, and y'all be like, oh, man, no, man, somebody must have paid the judge. The defense didn't do a good job. This, that, the third. They're not guilty. I don't believe. The woman is crazy. Make all these excuses, but at the same time, if it was somebody else that you did not like, you would be ready to throw the book at them. That's what I'm saying.
And the statement that I just read that begins, I'll say it with great respect. That was a statement that you made to the reporters for The Hill on June 24, 2019, correct?
Yes.
And
see, I'm not on the side of a person. I'm on the side of what's right. If he did it, he got to pay for what he did. If he didn't do it, man, he ain't got to pay him nothing. You know, that's how I feel. That's called being unbiased. I'm not on either side. I'm not rooting for Trump if I like Trump or don't like Trump. I'm not rooting for that lady because I like that lady or don't like that lady. I'm just on the side of right. If the court said that he is held liable and he must pay that woman her money.
Set of questions. I take it, sir, that you stand by that statement today?
Yes, I do.
So before you made your statements that it never happened in 2019, did you or anyone on your staff reach out to anyone at Bergdorf Goodman?
I didn't have to reach out to anybody because it didn't happen. And by the way, if it did happen, it would have been reported.
They said Diddy is on video. Hello, yeah, with consenting people on that on those videos. Those people were consenting adults. They agreed to be on video and do all that stuff they was doing. What are you talking about? Hello.
Minutes. Talking about going to a major floor, probably I assume the most important floor, a major floor in a major department store. That's a very busy store, by the way, and checkout counters and everything else. And I would be in there. I mean, it's the most ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous, disgusting.
I don't care, man. I'm not biased at all. You know what I'm saying? If there was a thingy that came across that said Trump didn't do nothing wrong, I would play it. If it was a video that came across and said Trump did something wrong, I'ma play it. I'm neutral. I don't got the side of neither one of these people. You know what I'm saying? Trump or that other lady. I'm not biased at all. I'm just not gonna act like, oh, he's just innocent when the court said he was guilty. That's what they said. You know, that's what the court said. And he should pay if he is guilty, and he should not pay if he not guilty. That's how I feel. That's called being unbiased, bro. I don't got a dog in the fight.
Story. It was just made up.
After you made the statements that you made in June of 2019, did you or anyone working for you reach out to Bergdorf Goodman?
After the statement was made, no.
In your June 21 statement that's marked as Exhibit 20, you say, and this is the Litvin tweet, I never met this person in my life.
Yes.
Man, however you want to put it, my guy, I'm not biased in the least form or fashion when it comes to this situation that Trump got going on with this lady. So if that's what you saying, that's fine. Because I don't got a dog in the fight. You know, I'm for the side of right, my guy. You know, whatever's right, roll with that. The court said he's liable, he should pay. You know, if the courts would have said he's not liable, I would have said he shouldn't pay. I'm not biased in this situation. You can be biased all you want to. I'm not biased.
Was that a true statement when you made it on June 21, 2019?
It was a true statement when I made it. I think subsequently, or at some point, they showed a picture on a receiving. I was on a celebrity line for a charity, and I think I was either shaking her hand or her husband's hand on a receiving line.
Jimbo, you can't say he won't have to pay nothing because he'll be cleared, because you don't know. At this point, we don't know if he'll be cleared or not. He took it to a higher court. The last time, they ruled in her favor and said that they uphold it. That was 2 months ago. Now he's going to the Supreme Court. You can hope he'll be cleared and have to not pay, but you don't know for a fact that he's going to be cleared. You know what I'm saying? So that's just your opinion, that you hope. Don't say he will, because you don't know. Just say you hope, and that's your opinion.
Like I say, shake a lot of hands with people, but I had no idea who she was.
So if I can understand your testimony, sir, you're saying that at the time you made the statement that's in DJT 20, you were not aware of ever having met Ms. Carroll. You have since seen a photograph that shows you with Ms. Carroll on a receiving line.
Along with a lot of other people. This was a very public.
Envious bias. I'm not finna argue with you about being biased or unbiased, man. You know what I'm saying? You think whatever you want to think. You can think I'm biased. You can think I'm not biased. I really don't care. What I'm telling you is, in this situation, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm for the side of right. You can argue till you turn blue in the face about somebody being biased. That's your prerogative. But I ain't finna go back and forth with you about it. I'm not biased. I don't have a dog in this fight. I stand for the side of right. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can tell you.
I think it was a charity or a celebrity event or something. And I think that's her big claim to fame, you know, that she shook my hand at some celebrity event.
So the answer to my question is yes, that after you made the statement, you became aware that there's a photo of you with Ms. Carroll in a receiving line, correct?
At some point, I saw there was a photo.
Oh, they said it's a photo of him being in the receiving line with Miss Carroll, which means they was in the same facility together.
On a receiving line, yes.
Okay, let's mark the photo. What number are we at to? What? You have in front of you a black and white photograph that we've marked as DJT23. And I'm going to ask you, is this the photo that you were just referring to?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Envious. Bud, I don't care, bud. Just let it go before you get deported.
Do you recall when you first saw this photo?
At some point during the process, I saw it. That's, I guess, her husband, John Johnson, who was an anchor for ABC. Nice guy, I thought. I mean, I don't know him, but I thought he was pretty good at what he did. I don't even know who the woman. Let's see. I don't know who. It's Marla.
You're saying Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla. Yeah, that's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No.
Here. Oh, is that?
The person you just pointed to was Eugene Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
And the woman on the right is your then wife.
I don't know. This was the picture. I assume that's John Johnson. Is that?
That's Carroll.
Because it's very blurry.
Now, in your June 21 statement, which is in your June 21 statement, which is DJT 20, you said that Ms. Carroll was trying to sell a new book, and that you said shame on those who make up false stories of assault to try to get publicity for themselves or sell a book.
No. That's right.
Before you made that statement, did you have any knowledge, one way or the other, of the financial arrangements between Ms. Carroll and the publisher of her book?
No.
Did you even know who her publisher was?
No.
Had you ever seen her book contract?
No.
Did you know anything about Ms. Carroll's financial situation?
No.
Did you know anything about her?
Envy is mine. What I'm saying is, I don't care, bro. It's okay. It's okay, dude. So it's okay, bud. It's all right. You got your opinion. I got mine. Let it go, man. Just let it go. We agree to disagree. Just let it go.
Expected book sales?
No idea.
Before you made the statement that appears in DJT 20, do you know whether you or anyone working for you did any research on Ms. Carroll?
I just don't know. It's possible somebody, when they heard this horrible accusation, it's possible that somebody...
I most definitely been said that opinions are okay. I value all opinions over here. You know, be very opinionated if you like. Just don't be getting mad and upset and talking crazy to people who don't agree with your views. You know, that's what I always say. But most definitely, yeah, voice your opinion. You can say Trump innocent all day if you want to. I never said that you couldn't. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I just talked about the bias of people. I never once said you couldn't voice your opinion. Just be respectful of others in the chat that don't think like you think.
Did a little quick research, but not that I know of.
Another thing that you say in your June 21 statement is that Ms. Carroll was trying to carry out a political agenda.
No.
Before issuing your statement on June 21, did you learn what political party Ms. Carroll belonged to?
I didn't know that.
Before you...
Envious mind. Just let it go, man. Man, listen, just let it go, man. I'm saying we're gonna agree to disagree. I don't gotta think you arguing about nothing. Just let it go, man. It's okay. It's all right, man. We got a difference of opinion. Just let it go, man. Stop typing to me. Just let it go. I let it go. You let it go. You don't have to just keep on typing stuff about how I think you want to argue. Just let it go, bro. Bud, just let it go, man. Throw back you a brewski and just chill out. It's okay. We good. We don't got to argue or none of that. We don't even got to talk about it no more. Just man, just chill. Dang, bro. It's okay, man. It's all right.
Issued your June 21 statement, did you have any documents indicating that she was pursuing a political agenda?
No.
At the end of your statement, your June 21 statement, you say, if anyone has information that the Democratic Party is working with Ms. Carroll or New York Magazine, please notify us as soon as possible. Did anyone ever notify you?
I don't know.
Sitting here today, you can't recall anyone who notified you?
I don't know, yeah.
One of the other things that you said about Ms. Carroll at the time appears in your June 24 statement, which is DJT 22. And what you said there is, I'll say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. When you said that Ms. Carroll was not your type, you meant that she was not your type physically, right?
I saw her in a picture. I didn't know what she looked like. And I said it, and I say it with as much respect as I can, but she was not my type.
And again, when you say type, you just refer to looking at photos, so you mean physically she's not your type?
Physically, she's not my type, and now that I've gotten indirectly to hear things about her, she wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
But when you were talking back on June 24th...
Hey, y'all. Envious mind is hard-headed, man. He just cannot stop, man. We put you in timeout for 1 minute, man. Chill out, bro. Grab you a cold one and chill out. It's not that serious, man. Lord, have mercy. I told you 1,000,000 times, bro. You good. Just chill. He won't chill. Hey, y'all, he won't let it go. He can't let it go, y'all. He like, oh, man, it's crazy. You just won't listen. You just keep on saying the same thing and not read my comments. Man, I told you, just chill out, bro. Now you got to wait 1 minute before you can type again. I hope you come back with a better attitude. Please. Please come back with a better attitude. And just don't worry about it, bro. We agree to disagree. I'm not mad. You shouldn't be.
Worth, you were referring to her not being your type physically.
I saw a photo of her.
Okay.
And the only difference between me and other people is I'm honest. She's not my type.
I take it the 3 women you've married are all your type.
Yeah.
What is True Social?
It's a platform that's been opened by me as an alternative to Twitter.
And your handle on True Social is at Real Donald Trump?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, on October 12th, just a few days ago, you issued a statement on True Social about Ms. Carroll in this case, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And the statement that you posted, who wrote that statement?
I did.
You yourself?
Yeah.
Did you post the statement?
Hey, y'all, don't time him out. Don't block him. Let him make it. Let him make it. Don't get him. Just let him type to his fingers hurt about how I just keep on telling him, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. You get over it, man. Just type away until you feel better about, whatever it is that you down there got going on. Just type till your fingers hurt, dog.
Yourself?
Yes.
And in addition to posting the statement on Truth Social, you also sent it to the press.
Yes. It's called Truth and Post. We post much like, how would you say it? We put out a statement and we also put it on Truth.
Okay, let's look at the statement. Let's mark it as, what's my next number?
28.
DJT 28. Okay, so this one.
I can't read this.
Well, we have a blown up version. Let's mark it as 28 and 28A.
Same guy.
So what we have in front of you is DJT 28, sir, is the post as it appeared on True Social on October 12, 2022, and a blown up version, because we appreciate the reading. The type is very small, a blown up version that should be more legible. Do you have both of those?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. So it says October 12, 2022, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. This, quote, Ms. Bergdorf Goodman case is a complete con job. And our legal system in this country, and our legal system in this country, but especially in New York State, just look at Peekaboo James, is a broken disgrace. You have to fight for years and spend a fortune in order to get your reputation back from liars, cheaters, and hacks. This decision is from the judge who was just overturned on my same case. I don't know this woman, have no idea who she is, other than it seems she had a picture of me many years ago with her husband shaking my hand on a reception line at a celebrity charity event. She completely made up a story that I met her at the doors of this crowded New York City department store and within minutes swooned her. Swooned is in quotes. It is a hoax and a lie, just like all the other hoaxes that have been played on me for the past 7 years. And while I'm not supposed to say it, I will. This woman is not my type, exclamation point. She has no idea what day, what week, what month, what year, or what decade this so-called event, in quotes, supposedly took place. The reason she doesn't know is because it never happened, and she doesn't want to get caught up with details or facts that could be proven wrong. If you watch Anderson Cooper's interview with her, where she was promoting a really crummy book, you will see that it is a complete scam. She changed her story from beginning to end after the commercial break to suit the purposes of CNN and Andy Cooper. Our justice system is broken, along with almost everything else in our country. Her lawyer is a political operative and Cuomo crony who goes around telling people that the way to beat Trump is to sue him all over the place. She is suing me on numerous frivolous cases, just like this one, and the court system does nothing to stop it. In the meantime, and for the record, E. Jean Carroll is not telling the truth, is a woman I had nothing to do with, didn't know, and would have no interest in knowing her if I ever had the chance. Now all I have to do is go through years more of legal nonsense in order to clear my name of her and her lawyer's phony attacks on me. This can only happen to, quote, in quotes, Trump, exclamation point. Did I read that correctly?
Great statement.
And now that you've heard it again and you have it in front of you, you again confirm that you wrote the whole thing yourself.
I wrote it all myself. All myself.
Did you? Now, at the beginning of your post, the reference Ms. Bergdorf Goodman is a reference to Ms. Carroll, right?
That's right.
Now, when you say in here, I don't know this woman and have no idea who she is, even though you're using the present tense, you're referring back to your knowledge as of when she first made the allegation.
I still don't know this woman. I think she's a whack job. I have no idea. I don't know anything about this woman other than what I read in stories and what I hear. I know nothing about her.
Okay, well, I guess the distinction I'm trying to make, sir, is that when the allegation came out in 2019, you said I think it's your testimony, you had no idea who she was.
I still don't.
Well, today you at least know that she's a plaintiff in a case suing you, correct?
Oh, yes, that I know.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know nothing about her. I think she's sick, mentally sick.
Okay. You say in this post use a strange word, which I want to ask you about. You say she completely made up a story that I met her at the doors of this crowded New York City department store and within minutes swooned her. Do you see that?
Yeah.
What does swoon her mean?
That would be a word, maybe accurate or not, having to do with talking to her and talking to her to do an act that she said happened, which didn't happen. And it's a nicer word than the word that starts with an F. And this would be a word that I use because I thought it would be inappropriate to use the other word. And it didn't happen.
Okay, I was curious when I read this, so I looked up the word swoon in the dictionary. And under the dictionary, it means to faint with extreme emotion. That's not what you meant here.
Objection to form.
Well, sort of, that's what she said I did to her. She fainted with great emotion. She actually indicated that she loved it. Okay, she loved it until commercial break. In fact, I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be raped. Didn't you say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm, it's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Well, based on her interview with Anderson Cooper, I believe that's what took place. We can define that. You'll have to show that. I'm sure you're going to show that. But she was interviewed by Anderson Cooper, and I think she said that rape was sexy, which it's not, by the way. But I think she said that rape was sexy, and she actually said things that were very strange. And then she was a different person after when he said, we'll take a break right now. We're going to take a break right now. He didn't like what she was saying. He was very upset with and then she came back and she was a much different woman in the second half, so to speak.
And so the question I'm asking you is, did she say in that interview that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Now, there's people in the chat that's saying she did say that.
Well, she said something to that effect. I mean, you'll have to take a look at the interview yourself. I believe she said rape was sexy, to which Anderson Cooper is dying. He's saying, let's get to a commercial break immediately. I think you better watch the interview. I'm sure you have, but you better watch the interview.
In the interview, when Ms. Carroll talked about rape being sexy, isn't it true that she said that's a view that many other people hold?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I believe she said rape is sexy or something to that effect, but you have to watch the interview. It's been a while.
And just to clarify, I think you said a few minutes earlier that you used the word swooned as a synonym for, you said the F word, for sexual intercourse?
Yeah. That's because that's what she said.
What do you mean? She never used the word swooned?
No. She said that I did something to her that never took place. There was no anything. I know nothing about this nut job.
Okay, then you go on to say in the statement, and while I am not supposed to say it, I will. Why were you not supposed to say it?
Because it's not politically correct to say. Read the next, go ahead. That she's not my type? Yeah, because it's not politically correct to say it, and I know that, but I'll say it anyway. She's accusing me of rape. A woman that I have no idea who she is. It came out of the blue. She's accusing me of rape, of raping her. The worst thing you can do, the worst charge, and you know it's not true too. You're a political operative also. You're a disgrace. But she's accusing me, and so are you, of rape, and it never took place. And I will tell you, I made that statement, and I said, well, it's politically incorrect. She's not my type, and that's 100% true. She's not my type.
Now, in your True Social statement on October 12th, you use the word hoax. Specifically, you say, it is a hoax and a lie, just like all the other hoaxes that have been played on me for the past 7 years. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I recall making that statement. And I take it what you're saying there is Ms. Carroll fabricated her claim that you sexually assaulted her, correct?
Yes, totally. 100%.
Fair to say, you'd agree with me, would you not, that you use the term hoax quite a lot?
Yes, I do.
CNN reported that you used it more than 250 times in 2020. Does that sound right?
Could be. I've had a lot of hoaxes.
He's still using hoax to this day.
And how would you define the word hoax?
A fake story, a false story, a made-up story.
Something that's not true.
Something that's not true, yes.
Sitting here today, can you recall what else you have referred to as a hoax?
Sure. The Russia hoax. It's been proven to be a hoax.
The Epstein files is a hoax.
Ukraine hoax. The Mueller situation for 2.5 years hoax. Ended in no collusion. It was a whole big hoax. The lying to the Pfizer court hoax. The lying to Congress many times hoax by all these people, this scum that we have in our country. Lying to Congress, hoax. The spying on my campaign, hoax. They spied on my campaign and now they admit it. That was another hoax. And I could get a whole list of them. And this is a hoax too.
This means this and that.
Trump say this is a hoax too. Let's go.
Ridiculous situation that we're doing right. It's a big fat hoax. She's a liar and she's a sick person, in my opinion. Really sick. Something wrong with her.
Okay. In addition to the Russia hoax, the Ukraine hoax, the Mueller hoax, the lying to Pfizer hoax, the lying to Congress hoax, and the spying on your campaign hoax, isn't it true that you also referred to the use of mail-in ballots as a hoax?
Yeah, I do. Sure. I do. I think they're very dishonest. Mail-in ballots, very dishonest.
And isn't it true that you yourself have voted by mail?
I do. Sometimes I do, but I don't know what happens to it once you give it. I have no idea.
Are you familiar, I'm sure you are, with something that's often referred to as the Access Hollywood tape?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's mark it and play it as, 35.
I think they took out that audio.
You know, and she used to be very. She's still very beautiful. I moved on her actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa!
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Huge news there.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, "I'll show you where they have some nice furniture." I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her, she's down with the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot
Cussing up a storm.
in the purple.
Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald is good. Oh, my man. Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your
Set this up.
That is very.
You give me the thumbs
Look at
up.
you are a
You gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
I knew Trump cussed like a sailor. Lord, have mercy. He was cussing up a storm.
Saw first? Yeah, let me.
It's very funny.
You gotta give the thumbs up.
You and I will walk there.
Oh my God.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her.
Yeah, that's her, with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just, I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Look at those legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, huh? That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the handle.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Trump, how
nice
are
seeing you. Terrific.
Pleasure to meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
Hello, nice to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? You just got off the bus.
Would you like a little hug,
Okay,
darling?
absolutely.
A
Melania
little
said
hug for
this
the
was
bushy. I
okay.
just got...
That's you in that video, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And am I correct that that video was recorded in January, withdrawn? Am I correct that that video was recorded in September 2005?
I guess that would, I don't know the date, but whatever date it was is fine with me.
And am I correct that you were engaged to your current wife sometime in 2004?
I don't know.
Am I correct that you married your current wife in January 2005?
I don't know relative to that tape, no.
And the person you were speaking to, it's now famous, in that video was Billy Bush?
That's right.
Please
This is very old news, fully litigated, during debates, during everything else, fully litigated.
Okay.
And you know what I said then, and I say it now? Locker room talk. That was locker room talk.
Okay.
That's what goes on.
And you did say in the video that you, quote, moved on her heavily, correct?
Excuse me?
You do say in the video that you, quote, moved on her heavily.
I did say that, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And you do say in the video that as part of trying to have sex with this woman, you took her furniture shopping, correct?
We actually did look for furniture, yes.
So that was true. You actually took this woman in.
I think so. It's been a long time ago. It's how long is that? A long time ago. But I think so. I do think so.
Is that the only occasion when you took a woman shopping?
I think so.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's, if you look over the last million
Those
years. I guess
famous
that's
words they keep bringing
largely
up.
true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
And now you said before, a couple of minutes ago, that this was just locker room talk.
It's locker room talk.
And so does that mean that you didn't really mean it?
No, it's locker room talk. I don't know. It's just the way people talk.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with a woman by the name of Natasha Stoynoff?
No.
Natasha Stoynoff.
You'll have to give me a little bit of.
Do you remember she wrote about you a lot when she worked at People magazine?
Oh, I do remember there was some woman that wrote, and then she, a long time later, I think she wrote a wonderful story, and then a long time later, as I remember it, a long time later she said that I was aggressive with her, but she wrote the most beautiful story, and then all of a sudden, like, is it a year or 2 years later, she comes out with this phony story that I was aggressive. I said, well, why would she have written such a good story for People magazine? She wrote a really nice piece. And then all of a sudden, like, years or months, many months later, she came up with this phony charge.
Let's watch a video. Again, I apologize for the technology, where you talk about Ms. Stoynoff's allegations.
Are we marking this?
We're going to mark it. It's a clip of a video from a campaign event in West Palm Beach on October 13, 2016, and we're going to mark it as DJT 36.
Then there was a writer from People magazine who wrote a story on Melania and myself on our first anniversary. The story was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was lovely. But last night we hear that after 12 years, this took place 12 years ago, this story, a new claim that I made inappropriate advances during the interview to this writer. And I ask a very simple question. Why wasn't it part of the story that appeared 20 or 12 years ago? Why wasn't it part of the story? Why didn't they make it part of the story? I was one of the biggest stars on television with The Apprentice, and it would have been one of the biggest stories of the year. Think of it. She's doing this story on Melania, who's pregnant at the time. and Donald Trump, our 1-year anniversary. And she said I made inappropriate advances. And by the way, the area was a public area, people all over the place. Take a look. You take a look. Look at her words. You tell me what you think. I don't think so. I don't think.
You'd agree with me that the person you were just talking about in that video was Natasha Stoynoff, correct?
Yes.
You're familiar with a woman by the name of Jessica Leeds?
No, I don't think so. Explain, go ahead.
Does that mean that this refreshed your recollection of who
Yes,
Jessica Leeds is?
this woman made up a story, just like your client made it up. Just made up a story. Having to do with sitting next to me in an airplane. And, I mean, I'll have to read this again, but that story was so false also. But this was, I guess, making out as opposed to what your client said. This story was so false. This is a disgrace also.
And do you recall speaking about Ms. Leeds' allegations at campaign events in 2016?
I might have. I thought it was so, like your client, I thought it was so ridiculous.
Okay, let's take a look at the next video, which is DJT 38, correct?
Hopefully our great movement, and there's never been anything like this in the United States, and the only way they figure they can slow it down is to come up with people that are willing to say, oh, I was with Donald Trump in 1980.
Nothing changed.
I was sitting with him on an airplane. And he went after me on the plane. Yeah, I'm going to go after. Believe me, she would not be my first choice, that I can tell you. Man. You don't know. That would not be my first choice.
When you said in that video that Ms. Leeds would not be your first choice, you were referring to her physical looks, correct?
Just the overall. I look at her, I see her, I hear what she says, whatever. You wouldn't be a choice of mine either, to be honest with you. I hope you're not insulted. I would not, under any circumstances, have any interest in you. I'm honest when I say it. I would not have any interest in.
The video we just watched, where you talked about Ms. Leeds. What else did you know about Ms. Leeds that would indicate to you that she would not have been your first choice, other than how she looked?
I don't know. I think I probably saw her on television or something. But I don't want to be insulting. But when people accuse me of something, I think I have a right to be insulting because they're insulting me. They're doing the ultimate insult. They make up stories, and then I'm not allowed to speak my mind. No, I disagree with that. No, she would not have been anywhere on a list. It just wouldn't have been for me. It's disgusting. It's what she said was disgusting. Can you imagine doing that on an airplane? What she said? I'm doing that on an airplane. That's almost as ridiculous as doing it in Bergdorf Goodman in a dressing room.
Isn't it true that just a few minutes ago you couldn't remember the date of your engagement to your current wife, Melania?
No. We're talking about a different thing. We're talking about a woman where something happened that was inappropriate, right? Inappropriate. It was highly inappropriate. She would remember that date. I would imagine she would have complained to the airline. She would know the flight. She would know everything about it. She didn't even know the year, as I remember it, just like your client doesn't know the year, doesn't know anything about it. If something happened like that to your client would know the second, should know down to the second, should know the day, the month, the year, right down to the second.
In the last paragraph of the statement that you made on June 21 that appears in the Laura Litvin's brief, DJT 20, you said as follows.
Last paragraph where?
DJT 20.
Go ahead, what is it?
You say as follows. The world should know what's really going on. It is a disgrace, and people should pay dearly for such false accusations. You see that? Yeah. And the person you meant who should pay dearly for such false accusations was E. Jean Carroll, correct?
Yeah, and I think their attorneys too. I think the attorneys like you are a big part of it, because you know it's a phone.
Old Trump, man, he said, you know it.
And by the early
you know it's
1990s,
phony. Hold on.
would it be fair to call you or
Speak my mind? No, I disagree with that. No, about it. She didn't even know the year, as I remember it, just like your client doesn't know the year.
looks, correct?
Just the overall, not my, speak my mind? No, I disagree with that. No, she would not have been anywhere on a list. I just wouldn't have been for me. It's
No.
disgusting. It's what she said was disgusting. Can you imagine doing that on an airplane? What she said? I'm doing that on an airplane. That's almost as ridiculous as doing it in Bergdorf Goodman in a dressing room.
Isn't it true that just a few minutes ago, you couldn't remember the date of your engagement to your current wife, Melania?
No. We're talking about a different thing. We're talking about a woman where something happened that was inappropriate, right? Inappropriate. It was highly inappropriate. She would remember that date. I would imagine she would have complained to the airline. She would know the flight. She would know everything about it. She didn't even know the year, as I remember it, just like your client doesn't know the year, doesn't know anything about it. If something happened like that to your client would know the second, should know down to the second, should know the day, the month, the year, right down to the second.
In the last paragraph of the statement that you made on June 21 that appears in the Laura Litgren tweet, DJT20, you said as follows.
Last paragraph where?
DJT20.
Go ahead, what is it?
You say as follows. The world should know what's really going on. It is a disgrace, and people should pay dearly for such false accusations. You see that?
Yeah.
And the person you meant who should pay dearly for such false accusations was E. Jean Carroll, correct?
Yeah, and I think their attorneys too. I think the attorneys like you are a big part of it, because you know it's a phone.
All right, so you know what I'm saying. Basically, that was Trump, guys. You know, on his deposition for E. Jean Carroll, in which she won that entire case, guys, as well as he took it somewhere else, and he most definitely won. She won again there, where Trump has to pay her $83 million. Guys, you know, that was a blast from the past, just something that I ran across that took me, because I had never seen that before. You know what I'm saying? It was my first time to see it. I thought I should present that to y'all. The basis of this whole thing was about the Epstein files, and basically Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, guys, stepping down from her position after she says that she was threatened by people, and that Trump called her a traitor, guys. So she got up out of there. But there is a lot of focus on these Epstein files. People want to see exactly what took place. I also have another interview, because this guy is everywhere now, of Epstein's lawyer, basically talking about what he knows. Check this out.
To remind everybody else, not you, of course, there is the criminal investigation, the FBI folio of their reports and what they did and did not do. Okay. Separate and apart from that, there are civil suits that had depositions, which are the interviews that you have in those pre-trial examinations before trial. And there are things that were sealed by judges. And what you told me, I have followed up on with other sources. And to the extent that there is any grouping of 20 people that survivors kept telling authorities about, who knew, who they were trafficked to, who had to be acted upon and never were, apparently, that's where those names would be sealed. Do you believe that? And if so, is there anything that can be done about that?
Yeah, we could go to the courts and seek to unseal it. But I want to focus on your prior guest, because she focused on a woman named Farmer. Now, Farmer accused lots of people. All of them were Jewish. She said, quote, "I have a hard time with Jewish people. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles who run the world economy." She talks about the Rothschilds. She is a blatant anti-Semite and a liar. She said she didn't accuse me, but she said she saw me in Jeffrey Epstein's house before I ever met Jeffrey Epstein. She clearly provably lied about me. And so what we have is both sides of the coin. We have people who are truly abused and who are telling the truth, and they ought to be listened to, and we ought to punish anybody who did anything illegal and criminal. And then we have the farmers of the world. We have another woman named Sarah Ransom who claimed she had videotapes of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Richard Branson, and a bunch of other people, and Donald Trump, videotaped of them having sex with children. And
I need y'all to take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. If you're on a mobile device, simply double tap your screen or click those three dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. We should have about 500-600 likes by now, but we only got 233 likes. Double tap that screen. Get the likes up, guys, and make sure, if you don't do anything else, that you subscribe to the channel, man. This is Jeffrey Epstein's attorney, basically speaking on the Epstein files.
And then she admitted she made up the whole thing. So we have to not throw out the Constitution here. We have to remember the presumption of innocence. We have to remember that there are false accusations here. I was a victim of a false accusation. I was able to disprove the falsity of my accusation. But I worry that if names are released of people who are accused without there being information released, that might cast doubt on the credibility of the accusers, like this farmer person, your lawyer who just presented. Her case never mentioned the fact that she said, I have a hard time with Jews. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles. Do you believe a person like that? It would take you 2 minutes to destroy her in cross-examination. She should not be believed. She is a liar. She lied about me. She lied about other people. And I think that that's why I want no redactions. I want all the evidence out so that the accusers tell their story and the people who are accused have the opportunity to disprove their story the way I did.
I hear you, but two things can be true at the same time, okay? I agree with you, and ironically, you agree with Ms. Freeman and Ms. Farmer that there should be no redactions on the files. Will that happen? I don't think there's any chance that it happens for multiple reasons, none of which is nefarious. Second, two things can be true at the same time, all right? Someone can be anti-Semitic, and Ms. Farmer denies that she feels that way or that she was going after Jews with her accusation. But whether it's true or not, she could have been abused and not like Jews, right? Both could happen, right?
Let me tell you what couldn't happen. She couldn't have seen me in Jeffrey Epstein's house walking up the steps months before I ever met Jeffrey Epstein. That is simply a false statement, and it could be proved categorically. I have all the evidence of when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
I understand.
I can give you the date and the time, and it was months after she left Jeffrey Epstein's employ and could never possibly have seen me. So all that evidence has to come out, and we want to see. I want to make sure we get the quotes, and then the people can decide for themselves whether a woman who says all the Jews I met are pedophiles who run the world economy, whether you believe her when she says she was abused. Maybe she's telling the truth. That's possible, but it goes to her credibility that all the people she accused are Jewish, and then she makes this statement about Jews. I have a trouble with the Jewish people. That could come out of the protocols of the elders of Zion.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and down.
All right, so that was a little bit from Epstein's lawyer, man. He said, you can't believe this woman. And he also wants the files out, unredacted. Now, I've been hearing things about, Trump said they should look into Bill Clinton. Now they want Bill Clinton to do a deposition, guys. Check this out.
The state files, that's why we're seeing all
Epstein probe in the House Oversight Committee. The oversight chair, Republican, now demanding former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton show up for in-person depositions next month. MS Now's Michael Schnell is joining us from Capitol Hill. So, Michael, let's back up here. Remind us, what does the Oversight Committee want to ask the Clintons?
Yeah, Anna, look, let's just sort of set the scene a little bit here, some context. This comes from that subpoena that the House Oversight Committee had approved over the summer. They had also approved that subpoena for the Epstein estate files. That's why we're seeing all these documents come up. The committee says around 65,000 since that subpoena went through. And they've also asked to bring a number of officials and public figures and political figures before the committee to ask them questions. Now, among those names are former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Bill Clinton. So the committee coming out today saying that they have set dates for those depositions. Bill Clinton for December 17th, Hillary Clinton for December 18th. Anna, I want to make something very clear. Those dates are not agreed upon yet between the Clintons and the committee. I'm told by a source familiar that the committee has been in conversations with the Clintons on finding a date, but this is just sort of what they are aiming for right now. Now, we know that throughout this entire Jeffrey Epstein saga and story, Republicans have been saying that they want to get the files released because they want to find out Democrats' involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. They want to find out more in those areas, and they often talk about the Clintons. This especially came after we saw that nearly unanimous vote in the House, 427-1, in support of releasing the Epstein documents. So this is essentially right now Republicans inching closer towards, hopefully, they hope, asking Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton questions about their involvement, proximity, how much they knew Jeffrey Epstein, and so on. And it sort of goes hand in hand with this long-running argument among Republicans that they want to release the files, not so much for Donald Trump information, which we've been hearing from Democrats, but to hear about the Democrats' involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
Paint the picture here for us. A former president, a former Secretary of State being questioned. What would that even look like?
What's up, Rose?
Yeah, well, this would probably be closed-door depositions. And again, Anna, I want to make it very clear that this is not something that's yet agreed upon. This is what the committee is aiming for. They are in conversations with the Clintons. This would likely be a closed-door deposition, so we would have to glean information from what members tell us when they leave the room. There would likely be a transcript released afterwards, but a pretty extraordinary moment, right? The Clintons, Bill and Hillary, are two of the most well-known Democrats, and to bring them before the panel to talk about something like this Jeffrey Epstein case, which has sort of been roiling the political world, particularly Washington right now, it would be an extraordinary moment, and certainly one that Republicans would look towards as they are continuing this investigation. Likely Democrats, though, would try to move the conversation back to Donald Trump.
Michael Schnell, thank you for bringing us that breaking news. Of course, you'll keep us posted as we learn more.
All right, hold on.
One thing in common, we want.
My bad, wrong thing. All right, more on this situation with them wanting Hillary and Bill basically to give depositions, guys. Hold on, check this out. No, this is more on. This is actually a survivor that basically accused Clinton. Let's
Felt
go.
I had no one to turn to. He was.
This is an Epstein survivor that called out Bill Clinton, guys. I mean, yeah, Bill Clinton. Check this out.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past.
All right, so that was one of the victims that spoke out and basically named Clinton as a person, you know, that she went to Africa with, along with Epstein, guys. All right, and then in this same press conference, this is what they're saying may have made Marjorie Taylor Greene a target, guys. And potentially what led her to resign after she gave this speech saying that she would name all the names and basically become a target, you know, of attack from people, and basically Trump calling her a traitor behind her wanting to expose the Epstein files.
Introduce Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you.
Thank you. For everyone watching at home, I think it's important to put yourself in these women's shoes. As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and basically held in a prison of captivity of sexual abuse while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women.
No, you're not. Because now, after this time, you're saying that basically you're resigning. So you won't walk in nowhere and give no names.
And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics, and this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore, and people are sick of it. So let's recognize the fact that the administration before and the one before it and the one before it and the one before it and before it never did anything about this. So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone worked together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal. And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids, his chefs, all the people, people that worked in his home, security guards. I heard one story from a young woman that was being raped by Jeffrey Epstein when he was out on work release while he was serving time in prison and had an ankle monitor on his leg. Guess what? There was a police officer outside that door. So this list of names is quite a list of names, and it doesn't extend just in the rich, powerful circles. It extends down to the very bottom where people were paid. And again, I will say this, there's victims suffering today in similar circumstances, and they're terrified to name the names of the people that are currently abusing them. And so with these brave, courageous women fighting this fight, this is a fight for women and children and any person that is facing sexual abuse and rape and captivity and human trafficking right now. And so here's what I ask you in the press. Don't go for salacious headlines. Go for the truth and defend these women and help those of us in Congress that are crossing our political party lines for doing the right thing and trying to do it together.
Yeah. So that was hold on.
Good morning, everybody.
That was the thing that they felt like made her a target, guys. And once again, here is her basically saying that she's stepping down, guys. And the reasons basically why. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass the plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas, just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda.
She was not fired, guys. She's just simply resigning. She's going to tell you why here in a second. She felt the way about Trump, calling her a traitor, and she basically feels that it was behind her wanting to expose, basically the Epstein files.
Spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
There y'all go.
Powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
Yeah, that's crazy, ain't it? Hold on. Hold up real quick. My sound went out. Hold on. Let me see what's going on. I wonder why the sound went out. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second real quick. Hold on. Let me pause this. Something just happened. I don't know what it was. My sound went out. Make sure you double tapping on that screen, though. Most definitely get those likes up. What in the world just happened? Oh, well, I don't know what in the world just happened. Oh, yes, I do. Hold up. That gotta be what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess they didn't want y'all to hear what she had to say for a second, but I got y'all. Here we go.
Assumptions about me. Representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington.
Can I get 8 more people to double tap that screen, guys? 8 more people, double tap the screen of your mobile device or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. It most definitely helps out the channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you are new.
I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
So there you have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, guys, is most definitely resigning her seat. She's stepping down, guys. All right, let me end this poll. In the chat, I asked people to vote on why they thought that she was, basically resigning. The poll said, did Marjorie resign over threats for wanting the Epstein file released? I seen somebody down there say Trump scared her off. All right, so after that, when I asked that, 62% of y'all said yes, that's why she's stepping down, and 38% of y'all said no, that's not why she said stepping down. Out of 1.3K votes on that poll, guys. Either way, whether it was Trump calling her a traitor, or the threats that she was receiving, or her wanting to expose and name names that's in the Epstein files, either way, whichever one of those y'all think, she's stepping away from politics for now. She says she will be back. Y'all will see her again. I don't know in what form we may see her again as far as what she'll be doing, but she says that she's leaving, guys. It's crazy, man. And that was the focal point of why I did this live, man. It's a lot of speculation on why she's stepping away, but at the end of the day, she's stepping away, guys. What she say, Brian, it's a lot going on, man. It is a whole lot going on. But yeah, man, I don't know how y'all feel about that. I don't know if y'all like her, don't like her, where you stand at when it comes to this situation. But right after saying that she was receiving threats, and right after Trump called her a traitor, right after she said that she would name names of people that's in those files, we get this late breaking news that basically she is resigning, and her last day will be January 5th, guys. Marjorie Taylor Greene is stepping down, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Most definitely double tap that screen, hit that like button if you have not. Subscribe to the channel if you like this form of content. We do deliver news daily, as it breaks, So yeah, man, the Epstein files are reportedly gonna be released here anytime after Trump and them finish doing their investigation. Will they be redacted? We don't know, but we know the Democrats are calling for an unredacted version, and the Republicans are basically saying we will follow the law. If anything in there, could put anybody in harm's way, like the victims' names and things of that nature, that they will be redacting them. I think somebody said they have 30 days to release something, but I also heard somebody else say due to this ongoing investigation, is no telling when we're liable to get these files, if we get them at all, guys. A lot of people blame Pam Bundy. They say it's up to her whether they're going to be redacted or not redacted, but we heard her say they're going to follow the law. So basically it could most definitely be a redacted form of the files that are going to be released, but Trump did sign them, even though he's been putting up a heck of a fight not to. He signed it. So we'll have to wait and see, guys. Shout out to my new subscribers as well as my old subscribers. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Shout out to my members. Shout out to anybody that sent me a gift. I most definitely appreciate it. A super chat or a super sticker, I appreciate them as well. Shout out to all of my members. Shout out to my moderators for keeping this chat rolling smooth. I know it can get hectic at some time, but I appreciate each and every one of y'all. If you just got here and you don't know what's going on, feel free, if you're subscribed, to run the video back, so you can catch up on everything. I even showed a Trump deposition with that somebody accused him, E. Curl accused him of basically owing her, and a lot of Trump supporters didn't like that. They said this woman is lying. This woman is full of crap. She's trying to get a money grab. But she wound up winning in court, and basically won $5 million off of that lawsuit, and then turned around and sued Trump for defamation and won $83 million. And 2 months ago, Trump and them took it to an appeals court, and basically they lost again. They upheld it and said that Trump still owed that woman $83 million. And a lot of people are saying Trump is just going to take it to the Supreme Court to see if he can get get out of having to pay this lady. So as they keep me updated, I keep y'all updated. I appreciate each and every one of y'all who rocked out for this whole 3.5 hour episode of Everything News. So until I see y'all again, y'all make sure y'all stay safe out there. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. Make sure you turn your notification bell on to all so you don't miss a thing when Everything News goes live. I'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all be safe. I'm gone.